To sink or swim 生き残るためにたぎった声だと言い聞かせる What went wrong Survival of the fittest 弱肉強食 Is this the world that our wisdom will lead Will tell me what went wrong I've paid my dues I've sold my soul So tell me what is left for me When I've given up everything ねえ取り替えたんだろうどの景色を見ても何も感じなかったよね考えなしてもあの景色を求めていた僕を感情なの強いと言われるものには責任という名の腐るはスケール What went wrong 弱いと言われてきた人たちはただ踏み越されていく世の中 What went wrong We've paid our dues We've sold our souls So tell me what is left for us When we've given up everything ねえ取り替えたんだろうどの景色を見ても何も感じなかったよね考えなしてもあの景色を求めていた僕を感情なの清潔な目に愛せないもらえる正義もクソからいない悲しい奴らがいてもただ一人が不安してしまう生徒はこのバランスを保ち殺すか殺されるかな切迫な世界なのかよおい誰か答えてみてくれよねえ取り替えたんだろうどの景色を見ても何も感じなかったよね考えなしてもあの景色を求めていた僕を感情なの取り替えたんだろうどの景色を見ても何も感じなかったよあの景色を求めていた僕を感情な
Mayday, 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 Pakistan 661, sir, we've lost one engine.
Take what you've got and leave now. You're wearing out your welcome. No one here wants to see you here. You think that you've won from day one, but soon the devil will come. You know just why he wants you, don't you? Your wicked desire left us in disarray. It's dying, divided at the point of no reason. You're starting a fire, you're gonna watch it burn. You try to save yourself like you always do. Every bridge we build, you think it's yours to burn it down, just burn it down. When everything is gone, you wish you only heard us out, screaming right down, right down. Act like you've only done good, unfairly misunderstood. Play the victim and show you what's new. Lie after lie after Why don't you look at yourself? Follow the hate, just fucking kill. You set yourself the world on fire, rising higher and higher, but there's nowhere to run, 'cause all the reaches burn. All you are is a fucking monster, a walking disaster. You touch it, you break it, you kill it, just like a heartless cancer. Every bridge we build, you think it's yours to burn it down. When everything is gone, you wish you only heard a sound, heard a sound. Every bridge we build, you think it's yours to burn it down, just burn it down. When everything is gone, you wish you only heard a sound, heard a sound. Make me die, make die, make die.
All right, sup guys? I just thought I'd play some stuff just before like everyone got in, just to get started. All right, now I can see the chat beside me. Yeah, so today what I'm gonna do is to celebrate 10K subs, which actually, if I look now, I actually reached 11K. So I mean, it's a week late, but I mean I couldn't have expected this, right? So I'm gonna be going over my 8 years singing journey, just because I thought that would be the best thing to go over. Since I mean this video has 8,000 views, and you guys have, well, increased my sub count to 11K. So of course not all of you have seen this, and pretty much what I do is I take a clip from all of my uploads I've ever done, and we just get to see the journey from when I started singing, which like I had no experience at all, and then listening to myself and developing my skills up until now. This video goes up to 2019, so there's an extra year afterwards. So I have like less to say about my newer stuff because the changes have been subtle, but I'll still go through them. But I guess before I start, and while people trickle in, I can answer some of the people who are typing in chat. Lots of pogs. Sup? I mean, what I was playing was just my newest cover, Mukanjo, and I also played the Fire Force Mayday cover. I'm not gonna get to anything DMC5 related, but yeah, I mean, I did talk to Adam and Anoop afterwards. I never had like direct contact with them. It was just like it was a commission of sorts, right? But yeah, it's really cool to see the growth from that occurred. Hey everybody, do you guys notice every song he sings gets better? I mean, I'd say so too, because I mean, what I do a lot and what people make fun of me for is that I like watch my videos a lot. Like if all my videos were on Spotify, it'd be my most listened to thing. And it's not that I'm narcissistic, it's because I always listen back and try to catch all the different mistakes I do, and I always try to improve on it. So that's the reason. And just from that, I think I start to pick up on little subtle things that I want to improve on, and that's why I'm able to like get better with each video. And even now, like I need to listen to Mukanjo a little bit more in order to get an idea, but I listened back to like covers from a month ago, and I can already hear things I want to improve on. Do you have a band, or are you freelancing it? No band. I have some originals on the way, but not a band. I'm just doing this for fun, you know. You're young, I guess so. I mean, I probably look older because I'm bald, but I've been bald since I was 22, as you'll see with my progression. But yeah, I think we can get ahead and start. We've been live for 10 minutes. Like I guess I this isn't scripted, so it'll just be off the cuff, me talking about each part. I'm scared to listen to my first clip here, which is Wait for Sleep by Dream Theater, but I covered that like without ever having sung before. It'll be fun. Did you have a music teacher, or what is your musical background? So I started playing piano when I was 4, and I had a classical teacher. So I learned a lot about theory, and like I had perfect pitch, and that's, I'd say, probably because of my like training since I was young. And then starting at the end of high school, I started to do jazz piano. So then I learned more about improvisation and like composition and stuff like that. So it's a lot of skills that don't directly transfer over to singing, but just in terms of me being able to like uh, imagine like melodies in my head and like harmonies and how I would structure stuff, I can do it all in my head, and it's really helpful for when it goes to recording in the studio. Um, I really do love Bury the Light. Like the song is amazing. Casey is an incredible composer, and it's like, I mean, I feel really honored to be on it. Of course, he did all the work, and like the reason why it's so good is because of him. Um, and yeah, like it's just an amazing song. Like I listen to it every single day. My drive to and from work, I listen to it. It's 10 minutes long, so it's hard to get bored of it, I guess. um, but yeah, I think I'll answer this last question and then we'll go right into it. Well, not okay. There's another one. How many push-ups did I do to get bald? I'll say like 1,052. But big question. How did you learn to fry scream? I'll talk about that in the video. Cause it'll definitely get to it because I'm gonna be talking about that. But yeah, how about we just get started? Yeah, let's see how this goes. I'm scared to hear this.
In with the ashes, or up with the smoke from the fire.
Yeah, okay, so right from the get-go, of course, I had not sung before. Never sung in front of a microphone, and I had no idea how to like keep my pitch or what kind of tone I was supposed to have. And I think what would be cool with this video is I can pull up all my previous covers so I can like point to different parts of it. Because I picked only one section of it, but there's different like things I could talk about for each section, right? So yeah, the quality there is pretty terrible. And like the high note isn't even that high and I still struggled. But I remember the beginning of the song is soft, and I had no idea how to sing like standing by the window, like kind of like a soft vocal, so I just like whispered it. Like if you listen to this, I'm just like singing quietly because that's what I thought I was supposed to do.
Standing by the window, eyes upon the moon, hoping that the memory.
So I'm not enunciating, which what I learned later on is what a big part of you sounding like big, even if you're singing quietly, it's just your enunciation. I wasn't doing that. I was just singing really quietly. And then during the second verse is when I start to like not belt because it's not belting, but like sing louder. And I just had no idea how to keep a tone going.
And pictures the chair.
Okay, here it is. Hold on.
She stares at the ceiling and tries not to think. And pictures the chain she's been trying to link again.
Man, this is so bad. Yeah, I just like I also didn't know what to do in front of a camera, right? But yeah, it's just like I didn't know what kind of voice I was supposed to have. Like I was trying to go like operatic a little bit, like picture the chain. Like I don't know what I was doing, but I guess after listening to that, I could like try and. I mean, I guess to answer your question here. So how did I deal with fixing bad vocal habits? The main thing is just like following the sound. So I could hear that and I'd be like, wow, like that doesn't sound good. Why does it sound bad? And then I compare myself to other singers. Like for example, compare myself to the singer of Dream Theater, and I see how does he sing differently. And towards a few more Dream Theater covers I've done, I started to sing a little bit better. And also, that's true too. I was a teenage boy. I was just gone through puberty. I was a late bloomer, so like I had a really long period of like voice cracks. So this was right after that. So the highest note in this song is the E4, and I struggle with that. So I think we can move on from this. It's just absolute trash.
And I'll carry on the best that I can without you here beside me.
Man. So I tried pushing up to like the top of my range there, right? It's A flat 4, and it was a really big struggle. You can see in my face, and it doesn't even sound powerful. At this point, I was just like developing my voice, right? So learning how to project and all that. There's one question here about the DMC5 trailer. I had no part in that. Like, it was a surprise to me when it would even have been dropped. Like, they don't tell me very much, which makes sense. They don't want to have leaks happen, right? Any proposals from agencies, bands? No, I'm waiting. What age did you think your voice started to fully develop? I'd say probably like, we'll see here. I'd say probably around 16, 17, I started to actually like sound a little more like an adult. Here, I was still struggling with everything. So that cover there was Disappear by Dream Theater. This one here is Aerials by System of a Down. I pitched it down a tiny bit just so I could do it. But here it's already starting to be all right. Like, I'm at least having a consistent sound, as you'll notice. So, like, I also played other instruments, too, in these videos. But, man, I look like a baby. That is true. I look so young. But, yeah, so as you can see there, I'm starting to be a little more precise with my pitching. And the reason why is because I look back and I'm like, man, like, I couldn't even keep a note. Like, I'd waver so much. Here is Wither by Dream Theater. And I'm starting to do some harmonizing. Like, so at this point, like, when did I start this? Let's say May. Oh, no, what was that? November 2011 to June 2012. So, like 9 months. That's how long it took for me to develop to this point. And like, so you can see how long this stuff takes, right?
I drown in hesitation. My words come crashing down.
So even here, like, I mean, I listen to this and my tone, while it's more consistent, like, it's very nasally and like not desirable, but it's obviously better. And another thing too is that there are certain notes that I should be belting, but I just was incapable of. So like the high notes here, there's not really a point of pulling up the song, but like, actually might as well, because it's a year later, and it shows how I guess it improved a little bit on like the softer vocals, even though it wasn't that good still. What's this called? Wither.
So insecure, find the words and let it out.
It's a little better.
Staring down.
So I'm at least not like whispering. I'm kind of like having a consistent tone. The mix was awful. Like the vocals were way too quiet and the piano was way too loud. This part at the end, I have a high note. It's like a lead. That's an A flat. 4.
Oh, my best creation, burn into the ground. The thought of starting over, leave me paralyzed.
Like that high note, you'd expect me to go like, leaves me paralyzed, but I literally just was not capable of like belting. Like that was me singing as loud as possible. Oh, my mic as in like me talking? Oh, I can turn it up here a little bit. All right, how's that? That's probably better. I can see here. Yeah. So I mean, I started off listening to Metallica, Dream Theater, Linkin Park. So Dream Theater was good for me for like having the okay, well my mic volume is it fine now? I'll wait for a response. I gotta turn it up a bit. Yeah, so Dream Theater was what opened my mind to like being able to do higher notes, like in like up in the 5th octave. Metallica was what taught me to do grit, and also Linkin Park as well. Like I idolized Chester Bennington a lot, so he was my introduction to screams. And like for the longest time, I was like, man, like I want to learn how to scream like him. All right, cool. Microphone's good. But yeah, I find like a big thing is just like imitation of other singers is really important, because like that's where you learn a lot of techniques from, because they already went through the whole gauntlet of trying to figure out how to sing, so they already figured it out, so might as well learn some things from them a bit more. I mean, I'll just move the mic a little bit closer to me. How's this? All right, this should be good. Yeah, so how did I learn to sing? Just self-teaching, listening to myself, and then seeing how to improve, pretty much. So I guess we'll move forward. I think the next one here, if I remember correctly, is me trying to do some grit, and it's pretty bad.
Tell me at the dawn asunder from how we failed to learn.
Yeah, so I always like kind of knew how to like imitate like the Metallica singer just through the grit, but it did kind of like hurt my throat. And here I'm trying to do the grit. You can hear that it sounds like it's painful, like I'm forcing it too hard. And essentially what that grit's coming from is just from like trying to like have your voice break, and that's definitely not a good way to do it. Later on I learned some better techniques, and that's just from imitation and experimentation of trying like different ways to do it. We'll move forward, I guess. Okay, so I mean that's already like that cover was already kind of decent. Like I mean it's starting to be kind of decent. It's a John Legend song, so it's pretty difficult to sing well. One sec. Okay, there we go. I can pull up what's it called again? Ordinary People? Yeah. Yeah, so like the difficulty here was like being able to sing the pitches well and have a good tone. So I know I was trying to imitate him slightly because like he has a really like rich tone that obviously I couldn't match very well, but it was in the beginnings of it. So let me skip ahead a little bit.
We take second chances, though it's not a fantasy. I still want you to say we're just ordinary people.
So still issues with some pitchiness, but like you can tell it's already getting better. Like I'm getting used to like singing pitches, and like I had now a sort of idea of like where I should dip down in volume and louder in order to make melodies a little more lively.
We don't know which way to go, 'cause we're ordinary people.
Yeah, I'm still kind of weird. This bridge had a lot of high notes, and I remember looking back, I really strained a lot to get those notes. Let's hear
But
it.
maybe we'll grow, we'll graduate. Take it slow, maybe we'll live and learn. Or maybe we'll crash and burn. Maybe you stay, maybe you leave, maybe you'll return. Maybe another fight, maybe we won't survive. But maybe we'll grow, we never know. Maybe you and I, we're just...
So yeah, like, how old was I here? What did I write down? I was 16, right? So maybe like a year and a half since I started singing. So like I'd say that's a pretty like decent jump from the beginning, right? And I guess it's a mix of me like obviously having gone more into puberty and also like just listening back to myself and improving certain things. So of course the pitchiness isn't that good. Like I mean it could be better. The delivery could be improved, and I was aware of these things. So moving forward I tried to improve a little bit better, a little bit more. Insights of what exercises I was doing. See, I didn't actually have like particular exercises. I just like would try re-singing certain lines in different ways, and I would record myself and listen back and see like if I slightly change something, how would it improve the tone. But yeah, there's no exercises. I remember people talking about like, oh, you got to do like vocal warm-ups and stuff and like scales, that I never really did that. I guess that's more so something you do to like warm up before, like in order to make sure that your voice is in like good shape before you sing. But it's like in terms of improving your voice, to me, it was just listening back to myself and experimenting with different ways to belt and like project. That was the big part for me. Next cover is These Walls by Dream Theater. I pitched it down a semitone, I remember. So there, like, I mean, the tone is weird. I'm kind of sliding into notes too much because, like, I didn't have the power to hit them right away. But it was more consistent at this point. Oh, thanks for the compliment. Yeah, Reptile was a really fun one, and Stranger Things with Lauren was really fun. I'm really happy with how those turned out. What's cool too is that I covered Stranger Things 5 years prior, and then you can really see the difference between then and now. Next one is another System of a Down song, and I was putting some grit onto it. It's fun. So yeah, I mean, you can kind of hear if you compare it to the one from before, which is this one here. That was July 2012 versus June 2013. So 1 year, you can tell that my grit already improved a lot. Like, it's still not like nice, but it's consistent, right? So let me just hear that again. As well, just in terms of what my vocal range is, the highest note in my chest voice, which is all I could do at this point, was A4. I could sometimes push the B flat 4, but that was difficult and it would be a strain and it'd be a gamble. So a lot of the times I would go for it in a recording and I'd miss it like 4 out of 5 times. And the one time I'd get it, I'd be like, okay, I'll take that take. But the grid, I knew I could always make the sound, but I found a certain way just to like be able to have it consistent in a way that like it vibrated in my throat so that it wouldn't like mess up my vocal cords and hurt. Just like there's several ways like a lot of people describe it in like YouTube tutorials, but the sound comes from like the false folds, which if you're looking at anatomically is like outside of where your vocal cords are. Updated version of Scarlet. Well, I mean, I never did Scarlet, so that'd be the first time you're doing it. And no, I never took classes. I just practiced on my own. Oh, okay. I remember when I was watching through this video. This video was like the first one where like suddenly my voice became decent. And I'll explain that. I'll explain that after we watch this part.
I'm taking a long way and I walk real slow and I don't mind that it's raining.
Yeah, so I guess the issue was I didn't know like where my voice was comfortable in terms of like how to project and make things sound decent. And in sort of a kind of poppy way, like when I was singing like, and I'll walk, like I was already putting a little bit of like the punch that you'd hear in like a pop song. And here it was a very comfortable range for me. And I was starting to actually be able to channel something to like make it sound decent.
I'm taking a long way and I walk real slow and I don't mind that it's raining 'cause then the tears won't seem to show.
So yeah, like a little better. This song is Long Way Home by Seventh Wonder. And I've been wanting to redo it because like I did the instrumental myself with all the instruments and like the guitar solos and all that. It'd be cool if I could find it and then just re-sing it. That'd be fun. Did your vocal range increase the more you practice or did you get better with controlling yourself? So once I get to the first song where I start using my mixed voice, I'll explain that a little more. But yeah, we'll get there.
World, while she's falling to pieces, but still you smile.
So yeah, here you can tell that like I'm getting a bit better at vocal production. So I was adding nice effects on it, and in terms of projecting my voice, it was better. So like the you smile, like it's not a high note, but I was actually projecting it decently. The highest one there is a little bit strained still. Is that A flat? Yeah, A flat 4. But it's improving, and I hope I'm explaining decently now how it's improving. But now I was 17 years old, so that's been 2 years since I started.
When you pissed all over my black kettle, you must have been.
Okay, so this is like behind the scenes. I was working on my vocal grit, and this is the first time me trying it in a video. And I did a very, very Metallica-y like version of the pot. Now, let me pull it up because there's one part in particular that I want to talk about. Essentially, like I said, the highest note in my vocal range is an A4, but there's a part in the second verse that goes up to C5, and obviously I can't hit that in chest. So I did a very like preliminary display of mixed voice in grit that obviously doesn't sound good, but it was decent for the time, right?
Dance round this one till you pull it out.
I'm looking at the lyrics on my phone under it, by the way. But yeah, like the belting is pretty decent here actually already, and I was starting already to incorporate like belting with grit and have it be all right. And it's the same technique I use now, just I refined it more.
You must have been so high. You must have been so high. Steal, borrow, reefer, save your shady inference.
That's an impression of what's his name again? Singer of Tool, Maynard. What's his first name? I forget. Man, this is embarrassing. But yeah, like the shady inference. He does that. Let me get to the second verse so I can show you guys. So what I'm talking about here is the like way I was like faking hitting a C5 because I was like trying to like put some grit on my mixed voice, but it was like meh. But you'll see what I mean. Yeah, so that like the next clip here is where I do my first showcase of my mixed voice. So I'll explain what it was. So I knew mixed voice was a thing, and it's the kind of thing. Well, if you don't understand, like if you don't know, chest voice is what I'm talking in right now. Head voice would be like ah, right? Mixed voice is when you're like slightly above your chest voice and you mix the two. Mix the two together, and you're able to hit very high notes, and they still sound like you're in chest voice. It's kind of like flipping gears if you want to measure it that way. So like in a car, you go from gear 1 to gear 2. In this case, you're still in chest voice, but you flip gears so you can actually hit higher notes. And it's something that I knew that all these like amazing singers like James Labrie can sing high notes. So I was trying to like learn from him. They use mixed voice. So I watched several videos on YouTube about how to find your mixed voice, and not one singular video gave like the perfect explanation, but all of them together, if you watch like 10 or 15 videos about like random people talking about mixed voice, they started to describe exactly how it works. And eventually I found something in my voice that I knew felt different that was mixed voice. And from that point, I knew exactly what the top of my vocal range was, because I could go all the way up to an A flat 5 in that type of singing voice. But at the time, it sounded very thin, and it sounded like head voice. And I'm pretty sure I figured that out when I was like 16. It's just that I only like developed it over time by strengthening it, just by like figuring out ways how to push it a little harder, and you actually use it in a song. Next clip, which I don't know which year it is. Okay, so still in May, but here all the high notes, they don't have distortion on them. It's just mixed voice being projected decently. And once again, it took a long time in order to develop that, but it's something I figured out early on. So maybe I was like 15 or 16 when I figured out what mixed voice was, and only 2 years later or a year and a half, I'm not sure exactly, did I actually use it in a song. I did actually cover Doomsday by Architects. That comes up in this video somewhere here. If you see the thumbnail, I think it's here, this guy. I do want to do Architects again, though, because it's been a while since I've done it, and my technique for that kind of thing has gotten a lot better. Did you learn how compression works to get grit or hit high notes, or at some point was it just natural to you? So yeah, the sound of a distortion note, like just imitating Metallica, like that comes from the false chords. That's something I always could do. Now, was it good for the voice? Probably not. And compression is a word that I learned like within the last year, and looking back, I did do it, like compressing like this in order to have a good distortion sound. That's something I actually did, but unknowingly, I guess. Because like for me, I was following the sound, and I didn't really pay attention to exactly what I was doing with my body or my voice, but I would always, if I could find something that I was doing differently just by experimentation and it sounded good, I'd keep doing it. So one of the things was compression for sure. But yeah, let's just listen to this. So you see there, like that E5 at the top, yeah, like it's totally out of nowhere. The previous highest note that I hit was like an A4, a B flat 4, and then I go and hit an E5 instantly. Like that's really confusing to hear. Like how did he end up doing that? And the answer is obviously I was like working on it behind the scenes. And of course, it still sounds very thin. Like the way I would hit that note now is way more full. But that was like a preliminary way to be able to hit that note. And that just shows that like 17 to now 24, huge difference, right? 7 years of just developing your voice to get to that point. Any videos you recommend for mixed voice? Now, I haven't watched very many videos on it recently. I know that Chris Lipe does a very good explanation of it, and I'd say that's probably the best video that I've seen about mixed voice. So look him up, Chris Lipe. I'll type it in chat. Oh wait, hold on. Here. So I mean, if you just search this Chris Lipe mixed voice in in YouTube, you'll find a good video on it where he explains what it is. But he didn't have that video back in 2012, 2013. So I just watched several videos to get sort of an idea. So that's my first Periphery cover also. That's the start of greatness. And I also, actually, I'm going to pull this cover up because it's the first time I did any screams, and it's pretty bad. Icarus Lives is the name of the song. Also, I started going to the gym a little bit, so my arms are a little bit bigger. I'm not a little bit of a twig like I was before. Also, man, my head of hair was pretty nice. It was already... My head was receding at this point, my hair. And you can see that I'm kind of pushing my hair a little bit in front in order to cover it. But it was still pretty thick at the time. Alright, get ready for these screams. Yeah, so also behind the scenes, I was trying to learn how to do fry screams, and I also watched several videos on it, just other different people describing how to get it. They talk about like start with the and then push it up, and then compress a little harder, and then you push it out into a sound. And when I did it, it would hurt, but I still did it anyways because I wanted to be able to record it. And what I did here, as you'll notice, like I kind of put my real voice into it. I go like, "Is the law I've read," and like it sounds very scratchy and bad when I do it that way. But I was able to buff it up a little bit for the audio, and it's still kind of bad. But that's where it all starts, right? I got used to making that vibration in my throat, and that's what led me to be able to do different kinds of screams nowadays. But yeah, it's fun to look back. But that's where it started. That's the first video I put screams into. I think the next cover is Light by Periphery. All right, so as you can see, the sound is like slightly more consistent with the sound, like the mixed note at B4, like the do the light, that note there. But it's like weak and thin sounding, right? And when I go up to the E flat 5 to do the can't seem to know, and I put like distortion on that, what that is like, I was trying to figure out exactly how to make distortion. But what that was like me breaking my voice in order to have it crackle, like, which is not a good way to do distortion. And I don't even want to attempt it now because I'm scared that I'll like lose my voice or something. Which answers your question there. Ever lost your voice or had any vocal scares? Pretty much after every single one of these covers, like my voice would hurt, and then I just wouldn't sing for a day. And since I was young, I would bounce back the next day and I'd be fine. But losing your mixed voice is like scary because it's such a weird like middle ground realm to find that like. I didn't just find it and then have it forever. I would find it, and then if I didn't sing for 2 days, I'd come back and I wouldn't be able to find it. And I was like, oh no, like did I lose my mixed voice? But then I would just like practice it again and like remember how I actually went about finding mixed voice, and I find it again. And the thing I definitely should have done was stayed completely away from distortion while I was still getting used to finding mixed voice, because once you scratch up your voice, you kind of default into doing that scratchy sound as you sing. So it's definitely not sustainable. And yeah, in Serbian, I know that borba is like fight, war, something like that. I have a friend who's Serbian. He said it means war. So victor and fight, borba is funny because it's like the winner of the fight. So it's an accident though. It's Portuguese, borba. It doesn't mean anything in Portuguese. It's just that's just a name. But yeah, it's funny. Yeah, the amount of technique that goes into vocals is pretty unreal. Yeah, it's a lot, and I'm not an expert on it, but I guess from my experience, I can talk from like a practical standpoint of what I did. I was wondering about your anime OP covers and what you find most difficult about the lyrics and singing them. Yeah, so I can touch on that a little bit more once I get to them later on. But the funny part of the anime cover is that I don't speak any Japanese. I have literally no idea what anything means. I know a few words, like, because they repeat a lot. Like sekai means world, and like wasure na or something like that, it means like remember. Certain words like that I know, like obviously arigato means thank you. It's like from Gurenge, but in general, I don't know what anything means. So what I do, I guess I'm a perfectionist when it comes to trying to imitate stuff. I listen to the original song, just like line by line, hear exactly how he pronounces each letter and how the syllables line up, and then I try imitating perfectly. And like it takes like 5 minutes per line. So if you look at the project file for any of my anime songs, it's like clips like this, line, and it takes several takes, so it takes a long time to do anime covers. Like for other ones, like for example, Reptile, I recorded in 2 hours and a half. What was the last one I did? I had a lot of difficulty. Oh yeah, Promised Neverland, Touch Off. That one took a long time because it was really fast. That took me like 3 separate nights in order to get that all completed. Like in 1 hour session, in a 1 hour session, I did like just the verse. Just because it's so fast, I do one line at a time. Like. And even now, I don't remember what the lyrics are. I'd have to read them. And actually, what I do is I print off the lyrics, and I put them right here. And the camera can't see it, but I'm reading off the lyrics, right? Do you do any practice for lower end screams? Yeah, that's what I'm working on right now, because like I find my low screams are not there. I have mid, I have high. I don't have okay, wasurenai means won't forget. Okay, that makes sense. Remember and won't forget. Okay, cool, thanks. But yeah, so definitely recording in Japanese is very difficult. Where am I from? Well, I was born and raised in Canada, but my parents are Brazilian. That's why I have a Brazilian name, a Portuguese name. What's my favorite anime? Death Note, for sure. 2 hours recording Reptile is basically just 2 takes. Yeah, I mean the story for that is actually I'll get to the story once I actually get to the songs. Let's just move ahead. I do watch some anime. I finished Promised Neverland recently. It's really good. Oh, actually, that's pretty interesting. I can talk about this. So, the like a moth burned by the fire, and that's all chest. Then I go to driven, and that's mixed voice. So you can hear how the density of the singing changes. It's very open. I was imitating James LeBrie there, right? Like driven, in order to make it sound more full. But the thing about that is just that like when you learn mixed voice and chest voice, there's still a barrier between the two. Like it's very difficult to find ways how to like mix the two together, because nowadays I can go from chest all the way to a high note and you can't even tell when I switch to mixed. But very early on, it's a very huge break, right? So you have to really plan out melodies, because like if you know, okay, I gotta hit this high note now, I have to switch into mixed voice. It's very difficult to imagine how that would work, and it takes a lot of practice, but eventually once you get really comfortable with mixed voice, you can actually mix them together. And I'd say only like the last 3 years that I started becoming comfortable with that. So it takes a very long time. And another thing too is that since mixed voice is way thinner when you're learning it, what I did a lot was compensate for the thinness by making my chest voice sound higher. So it sounds like my voice is pretty high set, like in terms of like me singing in these videos, but you can hear it by my voice now that it's relatively deeper than you'd hear from when I'm singing. But when I sang, I would purposely like raise my larynx or however you want to describe it to make my voice sound a little bit higher, just so that the transition from that to mixed voice wasn't as stark. Because if I sang in my normal voice and then I went into mixed voice back then, you'd hear a huge difference and it would sound really bad. So I like raise my chest voice a little bit higher to match it. What I've done recently is lower my head voice tone, my mixed voice tone to be more chesty. And that's why my recent covers sound a lot more like chesty. Yeah, let's move forward here. Sometimes when I pronounce certain vowels like E's, my voice tends to break and crack. If it's a la, it doesn't do that. Yeah, exactly. So one thing about, especially in mixed voice or like when you're starting to learn to sing, certain vowels carry out certain sounds much better than others. And like, for example, in mixed voice, like an open ah is way easier to do. This is why like James Labrie later on within his career and his voice started to deteriorate a bit, he really defaulted to doing like ah with every single one of his like syllables, and it sounds very odd. That's just because that's what resonates the best. And when I started mixed voice, I started off with singing like that sort of ah with most of my notes. Like for example here, if you listen, like driven to the flame is what I was supposed to sing in terms of words, but I go like driven to the flame, right? You'll notice here. That's a big thing too, just like paying attention to how people pronounce certain words. You'll notice there I'm doing that in order to compensate for the fact that my mixed voice was still kind of thin. Yeah, I do have BR in me. SM7B is a really nice mic. I find it's very dark sounding, which is why I take off the foam. And even then I still have to boost the high EQ a lot. I am looking at new microphones though, because I think I've moved past the need for this one. As you see from my covers, I used to have a Samson CO1, and that's pretty low quality. This one was a big upgrade, and as you see, the moment I became bald was the first time I used this microphone. So I upgraded at the same time. But now I'm feeling like I can upgrade again. Okay, so this cover, I don't know why I picked this specific line in it, because there's other parts of the song that I do like nice, decent runs. Nothing too notable, because you've seen the sort of way I'm projecting my voice recently, but I do some, I think it's because I wanted to put like, to show how my quieter vocals sounded now that I was projecting a little bit better. What I remember though, if I can remember back, is that my enunciation still wasn't good, because I still didn't conflate that singing quietly and enunciating softly were not supposed to be the thing you're supposed to do. Like you're supposed to sing lines that are quiet but still pronounce the words very well to give it a punch. So we'll listen here.
By the thorns in my head, like a victim of violence, called to repent, denied by the spirits of heaven.
I mean, it's not bad, but like I did like heaven, like I didn't pronounce it too well. I should have went like by the spirits of heaven. It's a little bit more precise sounding. And if I could go back in time, I'd tell little Victor to do that. Yeah. João Medeiros, I did one cover with him. Facepalm Mute. It was really fun. We definitely should do more though, because he has really, really good instrumentals. And I did ask him for some instrumentals to do stuff on, but like some of those covers I never got to. But it'd be cool to do something new again, because like Luck is a Constant. Facepalm Mute. He hadn't released that song yet. We planned to do it together and then did it. Thanks, Ben, for the support. Oh, okay, next cover here is the one where I do my first, like, I've been practicing the screams in the background while I was like recording other stuff, and you can hear it for the first time here. So this is The Walk by Periphery. Yeah, so like now, like what I was going for with the fry scream is some sort of white noise sound, and it's already better there. Like I'm projecting the fry better. If I remember back, it still kind of hurt if I did it for too long. That was the downside of it. And you can hear that I'm putting my real voice under it. Like I'm not just doing like a fry scream, which I never have done actually. I'm putting a little bit of my real voice into it. Like you can hear the pitch is like, well, let me see. I'm like, if I was around like an E, like feel the hand of God. Like I'm doing that, and I'm trying to imitate how I did it there because it was kind of weak sounding. It's all right, but I couldn't push it any higher or lower. Like it was a very preliminary sound, but that was the first time I actually went about it. And the problem was, I talked about like imitation. I would imitate Spencer from Periphery a lot, and his screams in the first album were not good to imitate. But that's what I was like. I guess that was a part of my journey where I was trying to figure out how to do screams. And I was 18, and I was getting into Periphery, and that's how I learned it at first. I should have definitely looked at P2. But also, if you think about it, Spencer went from if you listen to his first album to now, he improved so much as a singer, and he went through the same sort of steps that I did, and we'll see that later on as well. No, it doesn't hurt when I do fry screams now. I have a very different technique, which I'll talk about. I learned in this particular cover by accident. We'll get there. This cover is All of Me by John Legend. I came back and did another John Legend song. This one had fun with the what's it called? The harmonies. And at this point, I was already projecting pretty decently. If you listen to the original song, like it was already decent. So by the time at this point, when I was 18, I could say like, yes, I'm a singer. Because before I would be like, no, I'm not a singer. I'm just learning still. But here I was already all right, right?
Give your all to me. I give my all to you.
And what I'm doing there, the way I'm like projecting my voice, I'm kind of going lower with it because I wanted that like deeper sound that John Legend has. It sounded a little bit forced though. Like I was like, give your all to me. Like I was kind of singing like that. Yeah.
You're my end and my beginning. Unless you show me how. When you feel my heat, look into my eyes. It's from my deep inside. It's from my deep inside. Don't get too close.
So that's already a big difference in like quality. Like I was doing gritty notes on like higher fourth octave melodies, and it was consistent sounding. And even at the end there, I started going to C5. The distortion there again was just from me breaking my voice, but I did get better at it. Not sustainable though.
It's from my deep inside. It's from my deep inside. Don't get too close.
So now it's starting to get a little bit closer to how I do it now, like in terms of the tone. No, we're not singing Bury the Light today. I can comment a little bit on how I sung on that, but I'm not going to be talking about that. Find difficulty to find a place to sing. I have a belt box, but it restricts my mouth. How do you get around this program? Oh, in terms of location, I mean, when I was in high school, I practiced just because, like, in the 20 minutes I got home before my parents did, I would just like make random sounds. Just gotta find a secluded place, maybe your closet. And nowadays, I find the best way to sing for me is in the car. So while I'm driving to work, I can sing in the car. No one's going to hear me. And I practice a lot of stuff there. For low screens, I'm trying to figure out how to do like false chord stuff. Like people talk about like you start off with like a ooh and then try and build up from there. I'm getting better at it, but it's very new to me still. Once again, no Bury the Light. There you can hear that my I mean, I was doing it all clean just because I didn't have a comfortable distortion yet. And obviously that's not in the style of how a Periphery song should be sung. But I did redo that Jetpacks cover very recently, and you can hear a big difference. So just see where it comes from. Like here I was focusing more on hitting the notes and being smooth with my chest to my mixed. Less so the tone was my focus. And not that nice, you know. Okay, well, I mean, I'm not supposed to talk about like the details of what Devil May Cry stuff, but you can imagine that if Casey is a musician and I'm a singer on YouTube, and he wanted to find a singer, he could search up singers for his particular style and then find me, and then yeah, that's how you can imagine it would go. Driving to work, so I'm doing my master's PhD in chemistry, so very unrelated to music, and that's what I plan on doing for my career. Music's just a thing on the side for me. Did I care about what people thought about me singing? Not really. Like, I was a pretty stubborn little rebellious teen, so I didn't care what people thought. I just knew what my goal was, which was to be a good singer, and I kept working at it despite what people said. Like, I remember when I was around this age, like, I'd hang out with like different music groups that I would like do songs with, and I try singing like Dream Theater songs that were really high, and they say like, Victor, you gotta understand that there's some notes that are just out of your range, and I was like, oh, but I guess I proved them wrong now, I guess, because I can't hit those notes. But if I let that get to me, I probably wouldn't have ever tried to sing up into that range. I would have stuck to my 4th octave stuff. But yeah, don't let people get to you. You can improve, which as you can see I did, right? So yeah. So yeah, at this point the periphery songs I'm doing are pretty high, and I'm starting to get comfortable hitting those notes consistently. Just the tone of it wasn't as good, and I improved that later on, of course. Like, that, like, it sounds like a dying cat to me now. Like, the distortion I have on there, like, it's not very nice. So yeah, like here, since it's Tesseract, he has a kind of high voice and he sings clean, so it was much more comfortable for me to sing in this sort of range. And what you can hear from like this higher ones here is like super thin on the highest note. Like that's an F5, I think, because the song's in B flat minor. Well, let me listen to it again. Yeah, so like it's a very high note. Obviously, it's thin. Sounds like head voice. But I was hitting it, and it's consistent, right? So, yeah. Demorning Kisidaju. Well, I live in Ottawa, Canada. I don't live in Brazil. Nice, man. So another STEM graduate here. Let's go. How do I balance the two things? So during the week, I like focus completely on that thing, and I leave weekends free for myself. Just like in terms of work balance, that's how I handle it. So maybe at night, sometimes I do some recording in the week, but in general, since I'm in the lab for so much, I just like leave my week to focus on this completely, and I give myself a mental break by doing music on the weekends. Would you ever make a tutorial on how to scream? Maybe, but I find that there's so many different tutorials online, and my thing, I'm like, I can describe slightly, but it's very difficult to describe exactly what I do. In terms of this stream, yes, it'll be uploaded to my channel after, so you can watch it after. I just thought that since this is going to be such a long video, might as well stream it to experience it this way, and then I'll upload it. It'll be available afterwards. But yeah, like the tone on my like chest notes here are already pretty decent. I'm obviously still compensating, like I mentioned, about like bringing my chest voice higher to a higher tone in order to match how thin my mixed voice sounds. But like pretty good. Like, man. So here, this I'm happy with how this sounded. If I could go back, I'd probably say this is my first good cover. I'd say the tone I had for this, like, I'll look it up actually so we can listen to different parts of it. But the tone I had, the consistency on the A4 in grit like that is very nice, and throughout the entire song, I sung in like a particular voice that was like not my normal voice, but it sounded cool, right?
'cause tragedy thrills me. Whatever flavor, it happens to be like killed by the husband.
Pretty cool. But yeah, happy with how this one turned out. Channels or videos to recommend on the screaming bit. Not in particular. I mentioned this before in terms of finding mixed voice, but in terms of finding good ways to scream, I would just watch several different videos about screaming from different people. Chris Lipe, of course, is probably the best kind because he explains things very well, and it's a very similar approach to what I do, which is like focusing on experimentation and not being scared to make weird sounds. But the way I learned how to scream in the very beginning was just by watching like 20 different videos from 20 different people and then figuring out exactly what they did. But of course, you have to experiment on your own because the technique I use now was something I discovered by accident on my own.
Exhale your death and feel alive, like water raining from above, majestic aurora.
So yeah, this is Stranger Things from 5 years ago. Well, actually now it's well, I was 18 here, but like I was almost 19. But yeah, like big difference in how I sung. And of course it's decent. Like I'm able to sing the melodies all right, and they sound kind of thin and like I'm opening my mouth a little too much to have like the resonance happen, but yeah, it's pretty nice. Yeah, the Omega shirt's really cool, but like it's too small on me now. Like I was much skinnier back then, and I'm a little more bulky now, so it's a little tight on me. But yeah, it's a really nice shirt. And also, I want to comment on one more thing. My hair looks so good here, man. Like little sun-kissed, little like bleached of the hair from the sun. Like, oh, good times when I had hair. So like there, like the like water. The way I'm putting distortion on that is from like from down here, the false chords, and just like breaking my voice in order to get the distortion. It's not particularly good in terms of sound and also in terms of consistency, but that's what I did back in the day. And around 2017, there's a cover that I discovered something, and it was really significant. It's coming up soon, actually. Well, we'll see. Yeah, hair nostalgia. So the thing about that is that, as you can see, I'm pushing my hair forward already because my hairline was already receding. The little tooth of hair right here, I was able to push over to the side. But yeah. My first original on this channel, actually, right here. So it's a buddy of mine from a long time ago, 5 years, that he asked me to sing on this thing. But Garrett Guttrell, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but we did a couple songs together. I only posted this one here, but yeah, first time writing. I wrote some lyrics about random stuff, and the projection there was all in chest, all distortion, and I pushed up to that B flat 4, which was like the very, very, very top of my range, and I would hit it sometimes and not like others. Let's hear it again. Pretty cool. Like the tone on my distortion's pretty nice at this point. It's nice that I found a good tone in chest, but I still couldn't do it very much in mixed, and that was something I had to discover still. And here's a cover of Living on a Prayer, and pretty nice. Like I can at this point move pretty smoothly into like mixed voice, and like I sang this song at like karaoke bars and stuff, like, and people were impressed by it just because I was consistent, be able to hit these high notes. So yeah, it's already getting to a point now, 19 years old, and I'm able to like consistently do certain things. Yeah, so pretty. I mean, not too much to say. It's just an improvement from last time. Just getting more comfortable, And again, I'd listen back to how I sound and I'd see like, okay, the tone I have on that is kind of weak. Let me improve the way I pronounce stuff. So like here you can see that I wouldn't go living on a prayer. I would actually say living on a prayer more so. And that makes it sound a little better on its own even. So it's a little bit more in that way. I was trying to tend a little bit less from like libreating it, which was what I call it. Like North Lane and Baby Metal, like I know them, but no, I don't listen to them. Okay, this is like I think the first cover where I started getting some attention, I guess. What difference? So that was 2 months. But just the tone I had here was pretty nice, you know, like, especially the next one. My cover of Loon was the one where Werner, who is like the really famous bassist, well, not really famous, but you know, but he's a bassist and he's pretty known in the community. He contacted me saying like, hey, let's do a cover of like, Good Tiger together in Periphery. And I was like, oh, I'm down. But it was because of my Loon cover that I was discovered, I guess. So a lot of different harmonies there, a lot of distortion. The high notes are still like they're mixed, but I'm still like breaking a little bit. You notice that the note like give me a spot to work it out. I lose that and I'm only like breaking. You know, like it sounds cool, but you can notice that the note's not there anymore. Yeah. Yeah, so Loon's up here now. Let me just read some comments here. Thought about taking some pop songs, making it more metal with some screens, Victor style. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I need someone to agree with me to do that. Though I did do Over Now by Post Malone with John Silky a while back. It'd be cool to do that again, though. Do I want to do another Loon cover? It would be interesting. Because like my voice is a little bit different since then. And also I tried imitating Spencer a little too much. I've changed a little differently. So I was 20 now. So let's see how I sound. Yeah. Okay. So I'm really happy with how that high note sounded. And I think that's the thing that like caught people's attention, I guess, because at that point I was already like starting to be able to belt in my mixed voice and have a decent distortion on it. And I was still breaking it, but it was better than before. And as you could hear the wow in mixed voice, very nicely controlled. And at this point I didn't do any pitch correction at all. So these were all like just raw me singing, right? So pretty cool. Mariana's Trench, yeah, I know them. The singer's really good. I haven't thought about covering any of their stuff actually. Maybe I'll get to that. They are very cool. And I know Spencer Sotelo looks up to them, like him as a singer. So maybe I should pull some inspiration as well. Yeah. So you mentioned the physical aspect of singing, feeling in your body. So I mean, at that point I could feel it, like the mixed voice note up there. It resonates really comfortably in like under your jaw, like in that area when it's like nicely projected. And once you feel it project like that and the sound is very consistent, like once you know. But here, this cover, this is the most important cover I've ever done. And listen up, because this is why. So I'll definitely pull up this one actually. When I talk to people about how I learned to do the specific technique I do now, this is the cover where I figured it out. So I mentioned before about experimentation and just like trying different things and seeing what you can like come to by just like trying different things. So the line in the song here, so you listen to this at the beginning with my fry screams. I do the original technique I used to do, which is just fry, put a little bit of my chest voice into there, but like that's it, right? So you hear that, how that sounds, and then you compare it to, let me see if I can get the technique, the timestamp right. Compare that sound to this sound. I learned a new technique there, and how I did it randomly was the line where it's down in a hole. Where is it? That line was the most important line I've ever done in my life. And the reason why, so how it is in the original song, it's an A4 and it's a note, but it's like a screamed note. So I thought, you know what, let me just try singing the note and putting as much distortion I can on it. So like down in a hole. And what I realized is that as I was doing it, like I kind of voice cracked into mixed voice. So I'd have the A that I was supposed to sing and I'd voice crack up into B4. And B4 is out of my chest range. But I was hitting that note and the distortion sound was still consistent. So I was doing a distortion, like a scream, in a note that was above my chest voice. And that was really surprising to me. And this was like as I was recording the cover, like chronologically, I did my first technique and then I tried this and I discovered something new. And then by the end of the song, I tried doing that technique. And there's another part, I'll see if I listen to it. It's in the second verse where I do my old scream, and then for one line, I do like the new version. But what I discovered there is the technique I use now. And it's just, I was able to keep that consistent distortion sound while like doing a completely different place to resonate, which is like before my chest voice, my fry scream would be in my chest voice. Here, I figured out how to do it in my mixed voice. And this is what I do up until today. It's very, very comfortable. It feels really like consistent and doesn't hurt. And it's a really cool sound, which I developed from this point to now. Like in Given Up, when I do those screams, that's the technique I'm using. So here, there, like the chest voice notes are really nice and powerful and like crisp. The high ones, like you can tell that they're nicely sung and distorted, but they still sound thinner than when I go a little bit lower. And then the scream part afterwards, you can hear something interesting. Yeah, so that's my new technique, which if I were to describe, let me turn down the volume a little bit. The way I come to it and where I practice now is like I sing my mixed voice note and then I add the distortion on top, which is very difficult to describe exactly where it is, but like that's where the sound is. And that's like I'm only pushing it through my nose, so that's why you can like hear only that. But if I project it afterwards, you can hear how it sounds when I actually use it in the song. So that's the distortion sound I use now, and I learned it in this song by accident, which I'm telling you, it's really, really important. Okay, I turned it lower just because I don't know how loud it's gonna be, so I don't want things to explode. I'll do it again if you want to hear a little bit louder. Forgive me if it like explodes your ears. So, yeah, that's how I do my distortion nowadays. And I can kind of pick how much distortion I add on top in order, depending on what song it is. So, like, if I want to sing completely clean, I can do it super, super clean. And if I want it to be super, super, like, distorted, completely a scream, I can just go 100%. And you'll probably notice as I go through, I can talk about how much I put distortion on different parts. And particularly in Blood Eagle, which will come up eventually, that's when I really show the rise in distortion. Exploded your ears in a good way. All right, cool. Yeah, borba means battle in my language, so it's like Serbian, Croatian, like some Slavic language. Yeah, a lot of people tell me that, and battle, fight, war, something of that sort. It's pretty funny because my name Victor Borba, Victor meaning winner, Borba fight, so I'm like the winner of the fight. Pretty cool. Actually, before we move on from this one, let me just find the part. So here, I don't know the lyrics, so I'm reading off my phone. There's a particular part where you'll notice that it's like, where have the morals all gone? That line there is when I switch into my new technique. Okay, so up to this point, you'll notice that like the high screams are totally out of like a pitch. Like it's totally just white noise. I don't want to imitate it now because I don't like this technique because it hurts a little bit. But the next line here, you can now hear that it's higher and it's pitched and it's still distorted. So, and this is the new technique. And you can probably recognize that because that's more so what I do nowadays. If you compare the two, which afterwards, I don't do that again. So the tresh is more white noise before, like the morals, oh God! It's like there's a note to it, right? Pretty important to note. And also to the end here when I'm singing like stomp my head, it sounds a lot like Spencer Sotelo. And I was really, really, really happy to have found this because this is a technique that Spencer uses. 100% sure of. It's the same technique that Chester Bennington from Linkin Park uses. Sam Carter from Architects, so many other singer from Polaris. This like sounds a lot like what they do. And when I discovered this, I was like, oh man, this is it. Like I found something. Just because like I didn't learn it from anyone. I discovered it myself by accident, and it's what I use till now, and it's a technique that people recognize me for, I guess. So from this point, like I was really comfortable hitting that sort of sound with like at A4 in terms of like the note. And in my practice, like in the car, I would try pushing it higher because I know that I was like hitting that sound and I could do it mixed voice. Like I could do probably up to like B4. And over weeks, I tried pushing that mixed voice distortion sound up slightly and slightly. So like I inched it up to C#5, and then that's when I recorded my Architects covers. And then I pushed up a little bit higher to D5, and nowadays I can do it all the way up to my like A♭5. But it's something I had to really, really work on after discovering it. So you'll notice that this was May 2017. I think my Architects covers were end of December. Yeah, it definitely has a Chester sound to it. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. Like I listened back and I was like, what did I just do? Like that was amazing. Like I was just so impressed by what I randomly discovered, right? I like how you analyze your stuff. Yeah, thanks, man. I mean, that's what my plan is here, right? So for 10K special, just to give my thoughts on my whole progress. Just because I know people always ask me questions about this stuff, and I never have a good way to explain it because on text is kind of difficult. Tips for sustaining the screams. So since it is a sort of fry scream, and if you compress, you like don't use very much air at all. So even though it sounds like it's really, really like long, like okay, for example, the given up cover, I can demonstrate exactly how it actually sounds. Like when I do it, and you'll hear that like I'm not forcing my head too hard. Like it's very little air. Let me see if I can do it now. I'm not that warmed up. Put me out of my fucking misery! And I can go on like that for a long time, right? And that probably, I don't know if that exploded your earphones, but I mean like it's not that loud and it doesn't use a lot of air. I didn't get a good breath beforehand, but like since it's compressed and you're talking like this, like it like doesn't use that much air. So you can actually, I could probably go to like 20 seconds. I know the scream is 17 seconds long, but it could be longer, and that's how they do it. Honestly, it sounds more impressive than it actually is. I was worried about doing it, but when I tried it, it was like, oh, it hardly uses any air, and it's not that loud. Are you Brazilian? Yes. Well, by blood. how do you manage the accent while singing? I don't have an accent. Well, I have a Canadian accent. It's because I was born and raised here, right? Yeah. No, I live in a suburb, so like there's no people around. Lean away from the mic. Yeah, that's the thing. Like people told me to turn it up, and I warned them because they said I turned it down a little bit, and I did it, and it was too quiet. But yeah. Anyways, let's move forward. Oh, what up, Justin? There we go. So I mean that cover I actually recorded before prayer position, so the order's actually swapped. But the tones there were nice and all that, you know. But I think the important thing was that prayer position was really like notable for me in my development, I guess. This is also one of my originals. So with the band called Sankara, they're from Texas. They wanted me to sing their whole album, and I did. Are you available for cooperation session work? Yes. Like send me a message on Instagram or something, and we'll figure something out. Can I learn to scream before I sing? So as you see from me, I learned to sing and scream at the same time. So in my opinion, you kind of need both to like, because they complement each other, right? So some techniques from singing help you with screaming, and then screaming help with singing. For example, when I sang, I learned how to breathe better and like project better. And then when I discovered that new scream technique, it actually helped me with my mixed voice, which we'll see in a bit. I actually channel that into my mixed voice. So like it's completely like symbiotic, if you want to imagine it that way. Like it's a biology term, but yeah. Do you teach that screaming technique in particular? Yeah. I do. So when I give vocal lessons, that's what I teach. Like I help with exactly what I do. A scream tutorial, it just seems like it's too boxed, and I feel like it's difficult to explain something in a video. So I had to put a lot of thought into that. Here Comes the Winner. It will get there. I think that's like 2018. Yeah. So there, I am starting to channel in that distortion sound. I wasn't using it particularly there. Only in the last song of that album did I use it. And in that one, no. So, I mean, the order here is a little bit flipped. I guess not really, because I discovered it in prayer position, and I was still developing it while I was singing other stuff. So, by the time I first use it, that's in December. So, it took me about 4 months to develop it to a point where I was comfortable doing it on a recording, right? Can't figure out how to scream without it hurting. That's the thing. When I started screaming up until this point, actually even here, like it still hurt a little bit because I was forcing it too hard. But this entire time, my screams would hurt me. But like now the technique I use doesn't hurt at all. So it just comes with like, you have to experiment, and also if it hurts a little bit, like don't force it too hard. The techniques I use, like by the end of it, it didn't really hurt as much as it did in the beginning. But like if I did it for too long, then I would get sore. So it's a kind of balance in that way, if that makes sense. I had to learn to scream on my own. Watching my own videos. Well, watching videos about it didn't help. Yeah, that's the thing. Like the videos that you watch for tutorials give you a sort of idea of where you're supposed to approach things, but it's not the end all, right? Like you still have to figure stuff out for your own. Oh yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for the support. Yeah, I think it's interesting to look back to my old stuff just to show how I developed. Just because it's kind of a lie where like people say that you're born with talent, and as you can see, I wasn't. But you just have to like develop yourself on your own. So here's Linkin Park Numb. So yeah, the tone there is like pretty chill, and I have a sort of like poppy tone. Like I'm still imitating like Spencer and Chester at this point, right? So I didn't really find my own voice yet. Everything tastes like iron. Yeah, so you're kind of having like a little bit of bleeding happened. I remember that happening to me as well. Just don't go too hard. You're probably just hurting yourself. Try finding a slightly different technique. Is it basically you can do only at high volume? Can you do the same technique at a normal speaking volume? Are you talking about like the distortion one that I discovered? I can, but it doesn't project. You know what I mean? So like I can go like that's quieter than my speaking volume, and it's that's the where the sound comes from. But obviously I'm just going like and it doesn't project, right? Okay, so here, these two covers are the first time I used this technique. So, like in a song. And even the singing part, I'm using the same technique. I'm flowing very smoothly into my mixed voice and using the distortion technique that I discovered on top. Yeah, so I mean, it sounds a little louder than my talking, probably, but like it's not very loud. It's not like how loud it is when I yell. But yeah, so here is the first time I'm using my scream technique to sing, not to scream, to sing. And I'll compare this line to the one in Gone with the Wind, just so you can see how thin it sounded at first. Because at first it was thin sounding, and so like I'm really happy that I was able to figure this out, and I developed it since then. But you can listen back and compare that it's much thinner than the things I do nowadays, right? And that's just because I developed the sound a little bit more, and I already found the technique. It just had to do with like being able to find a way to project it better and bring it down into a more chesty sounding tone. And here I was using like only fry screams. What I started doing recently is mixing in like my false chord distortion. So it's like I'm distorting from several places at once, and it just gives it a really full sound. But yeah, like it has its cool tone, but it's not how I sing now. Especially that like lower like A4 there, I'm still like hovering in mixed voice. That's why it sounds kind of weak. Nowadays, what I do is like I would be able to slide right into my chest. But you can hear a difference for sure, yeah. I won't be talking about Bury the Light. Maybe a little bit in terms of like vocals, but like just my approach to it. But I'm not talking too much about it. We'll keep moving forward. And yeah, you can see I dyed my hair blonde here. The reason why is because, oh, hi Karen, hello bald man, yeah. Since my hairline was receding, I wanted to hide it a bit, so I colored it blonde so that you can tell. That's pretty much how it is. Let's keep going. So as you can see here, I'm starting to like really smooth my chest and my mixed voice together. So there's no like clear jump between when I'm singing mix and it sounds thinner to before when I'm doing like my chest voice. Now it's a little more smooth over, especially with this one. This is like, I'm really happy with this cover because like it shows that like the progression, like the glistening that's coming up. That's mixed. The last note is chest, and you can't really tell the overlap, right? Yes. Listen up. Like, listen to that. Where did I go from mixed to chest? You can't really draw a line. Like, it's all like very smoothed over, and the answer is B flat still is mixed, A flat is chest. But it's so smooth at this point that like And that's also thanks to me figuring out the new technique that I was able to smooth it over. And if I remember correctly, this is August 2018. And December to July, I took a big break here in terms of like singing. So I had all this stuff like behind the scenes figuring it out. Yeah, I'll get to Into the Unknown in this video. I think. Do I talk about Into the Unknown in this video? Oh, I think Into the Unknown came out after. But I can still like, I'm going to still talk about like recent videos. Meshuggah, yes, eventually I will. Which cover you did is your favorite? I always think that my most recent cover is my favorite. Like I sing best in my most recent video, always, because I'm always trying to improve stuff. And as you'll notice, as I'll mention later when I go to 2020 videos, is that I still have stuff that like I critique from my old videos. Like even from a month ago, I'm like, oh, I didn't like how I did that one part, and even then I still like improve. Man, that line's cool. The E flat up there, you can tell now that my distortion technique is different, especially on the super high mixed notes. Like the glistening, that melody there when I was doing distortion was like using the technique that I discovered before for screams, and now I'm applying it to notes up in like E flat 5. So within what month was that? June 2017 to August 2018. That's a little more over a year that I spent developing this technique to be able to sing mixed notes, and it got into this point in a year, right? Early Meshuggah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think most of the top singers, I guess, use this sort of technique because I find that it's really sustainable and it's better than any other one. So I wouldn't be surprised if they all have this secret technique that they all have that they won't tell anybody about, and then I just randomly discovered it. It might have been the same for them, right? Yeah, I am kind of hogging right here. Yeah, thank you, Green Day 1222235. Good Anger is your favorite? Yeah, I really am happy with that one. Ever reached a point where you felt satisfied with your singing? No, never. There's always something that I can improve on, and I can mention that. But like, I like my voice, yes, but I always can point out things I want to improve on, and I think that's really healthy. The beginning of that technique was my old one, so the to the hurry, like that thing, and then when I go to the higher note, I'm doing my new technique, and I transition between them. So the technique I used in lower chest to mixed, while they're slightly different, nowadays I smooth them up completely, but like I had to transition in the middle of the line, which is interesting to see. All right, so here's the one I was talking about. Someone mentioned about doing pop songs and metal versions. So this is the one time I did. This is Over Now by Post Malone. Definitely go check out that cover. Like I'm pretty happy with it. And I just showed off like the really high note I do at the end here because I wanted to show off, I guess. And a very Tesseract-esque scream at the end there, the D5. Yeah. All right, here we go. New era. Bald Victor with the new microphone. The microphone made a huge difference in terms of my like sound quality. Because the old one, like it would miss out on certain like frequencies that you could like bump up pretty decently. And yeah, so from December 2018, March 2019. Actually, I was bald in this video already, but I was too ashamed to show it, so I wore a hat. But yeah, I was bald here already. But here's the first time showing off my baldness. Yep, same note as Here Comes the Winter. Era, I do consider that. I'd have to find a good instrumental or someone to do it with me, but it is in the options because he is a really good singer. But yeah, even here, like not just the vocal, like the mic improved, but just the way I projected certain notes. Like I was already starting to use my own voice, I guess. Like I wasn't trying to imitate Spencer as much. I was like singing in my own way, and it really shows because I think here you can kind of hear like my present day voice, and this was 2 years ago now, I guess. Yeah. Also, a funny part about this cover is that I recorded it within like 30 minutes of the song coming out. When I was like, okay, it's a weekend, let me just record this. And the lyrics didn't come out yet, so I got the lyrics completely wrong. But yeah, the tone of the song was really good. Thanks for saying I rocked the bald look. I think so as well. I'll read this as well. Hey Victor, just tuning in. How does practicing now compare to when you practiced at the beginning of your journey? Do you find yourself able to recover much faster? How long does recovery take for you? Like in the beginning, my practice was more like trying to find new sounds, and of course I would like destroy my voice sometimes and wait like a day for it to come back. Nowadays, since I'm already dead set into my techniques pretty comfortably, I don't really worry about recovery as much. Like obviously your voice will get tired the same way your muscle will get tired as you're working it out. But now my practice is essentially in the car to and from work, 30-minute drive there, 30-minute drive back. I sing the whole time, so an hour a day. And I think I saw it coming from before about like how long you should practice a day. Try it. It doesn't matter how long, just do it daily. Not like don't practice too long for one day and then take a break. I think it's important to do a little bit each day. But yeah, nowadays what I practice is in the car, and I don't experience vocal decay like I did before. Bald makes you look early 20s. I'd hope so, because I'm early. Actually, now I'm mid 20s now. I didn't really realize that. I'm 24. No, I don't have any footage of braided light recording. Okay, this cover here, when I was talking about the range of distortion, so I can put a little tiny bit of distortion all the way up to a bunch. In this one, I do a siren all the way up from like 40% distortion and then all the way up to 100. And you can tell on like only high sun you'll see. So you can see how singing and screaming is a total continuum for me, where like I could be singing here, but just adding distortion on top eventually becomes what I do for a scream. All I did there was add distortion on top. No traditional vocal warm-up. Not really. Like the way I warm up my voice is just by talking, because then my vocal cords get used to moving around. And then I sing some songs. Part of my warm-up is doing like the to make sure that the sound is like a consistent white noise. I just do that up in my nose just so it's not loud or something. But I do normal talking, sing random lines, practice a siren between my chest and my like high mix just to make sure that the transition between the two is good, and then warm up that little like fry sound. But apart from that, I don't really do a warm up. I guess that you can consider that a warm up, but like nothing in the sense of like people who go like and like scales that way. I don't do that. Okay, here. Screamy mixed notes, because I'm screaming on pitches, and then I go all the way up to an A flat 5. That was very difficult to hit, and I was like, man, am I going to be able to do this? And I did it. But that's like the very, very top of my range. A flat 5. How long would you say a warm-up should take? I mean, depends on how like unused your voice is. Sometimes I start singing and I'm already good. Sometimes it takes me like a minute to warm up and then I'm good. Sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes. Like it depends on the day also. But recently, if you like, I find that if you sing a little bit every day, it takes much less time to warm up. So nowadays I can get into the car, sing for like 30 seconds, and I'm good to go for like whatever song. Or like I talk for like 20 minutes and then my voice is already up to speed. It's probably bad advice though, because I feel like you probably should focus a little more on warming up. But this is me now. Back in the day, my warm up I guess was a little more like prolonged, but I only ever did warm up just by singing songs, just to get like the muscles stretched, I guess. Nothing too straining. Like I'd leave straining stuff for after I completed my warm up, if that makes sense. All right, so this is definitely the cover that blew me up. The Satellites cover, I remember when I posted this, I had 1.4k subs, and this was May 2019. So, I forgot how much I grew since then, but like, this cover got a lot of attention, and I'm pretty happy with that. And I have one thing to note about it, that like in general, like the singing was very good in it, and I was still kind of imitating Spencer a tiny bit, I guess. And the high notes here, you can tell they're kind of thinner compared to what I do now, and that's because here I was focusing more on the distortion and hitting the note. Nowadays, I focus on bringing the tone down in order to make it like chesty. So yeah, that G5 is a doozy. But it's the thing. I listen back and I can still critique it. Like even though you might think it's awesome, and I think it's good too, there's still certain aspects of it where I'm like, oh, I could have done this part better. Like if I were to redo this cover now, it'd be better. Advice for someone who's tone deaf and wants to sing. Yeah, it's kind of hard to get over the tone deaf part. I would really practice just first thing first. I think the thing you have to do is go on a piano and just try and match the notes and maybe record yourself back. And you really just have to develop the skill of being able to match a note when you play it. Because if you can't do that, then, I mean, you can't really sing afterwards. And I guess the important thing with me when I started off was I didn't have any good tone. I didn't know how to project and stuff, but I was able to at least not be tone deaf. And maybe my pitch wasn't good in terms of it wavering, but I was able to match pitches. So that's definitely step one, be able to match a pitch. And you can practice that with an instrument in front of you, or like go to like virtualpiano.com or whatever. Like there's websites that have like a little piano that you can click on. Just practice matching the note. Maybe have someone else tell you what like how accurate you are. But that's definitely the first step. If you're able to match certain notes and sing melodies and like be on pitch, that's where you have to start. And I would suggest just like comparing yourself to an actual instrument. Mirror the same style as all these guys. Kind of. His is more of a yell scream, right? Okay, that's good. I worked with someone who was tone deaf and just gotta get him to match notes. So yeah, that's it. That's it. Anything you do differently in a reptile? That was. I mean, I'm really happy with that one. I think I held back a bit much on like the high notes. Because like a comfortable place for me, as you hear, like when I do my like warm up for my technique, like the is that it's very nasal, because that's a comfortable place for it to sit. And in my reptile cover, I think I sang my high notes comfortably in that nasal area. And if I were to do it now, it'd be more chesty, like out through my throat and my mouth. I don't think I have I can't like. I mean, if you listen to it, I might be able to point it out, and I don't have it here. Which after this video is done, I'll look through like my most recent videos and we can talk about that. But yeah. In terms of voice types, it's like yes, because there's like lower and higher voices. I'm a tenor, but on the lower end of tenor. Baritones probably are going to have more difficulty reaching higher, but I believe that voices are just like a, what's it called? Like a transposition of each other. So someone with a lower voice will just be the same sort of voice, but just shifted lower, right? Started screaming 13 years ago. After the first year, started to transition to singing. So, oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, in my case, it was singing first and then screaming after. 30 minutes to work, 30 minutes to back. Yeah, that's the perfect way to practice, right? Yeah. So this was cool. So that note, as like I said, that's like a really chesty mixed note that I started working on after I listened to my Satellites cover. I'm like, okay, I want to be a little more chesty with it. And really nice distortion on top of it. And yeah. Is self-taught a good idea or dangerous? Well, I'm self-taught. And I don't know if I'm lucky, I guess, that I would direct myself in the right direction. But since I had been playing piano since I was 4, I guess I developed a decent understanding of like how you're supposed to approach learning an instrument. And that probably carries on into vocals. So I had an intelligent way of how to approach it. If you are completely new to learning music and you want to self-teach, it might be difficult. So in that case, maybe having a vocal coach just to help you out will improve things for you. But yeah, definitely self-teaching is not a problem. Like a lot of the best singers in the world are self-taught. Are my high notes head or mixed? They're mixed. With the Corona stuff going on, pretty sure you have a different practice routine. Well, not really, because I'm back to work now, and I just drive there and drive back, right? And it's in the car is where I practice. So that's the answer to the next question. I practice in the car. Yeah. And I saw a comment up there about collabs. And thing is, like, I received a decent amount of emails about collabs, and I only really have time to respond to the ones I'm interested in taking part in. It's no offense to those I'm not interested in, but like I have a certain amount of time in the day, and if I have a collab you see on my channel, it's because they reached out to me and I said, okay, yeah, let's do it. If I don't respond, maybe I saw it already, and I just thought, okay, let me move on to whatever's next, because I mean, I'm pretty busy. Here again, I mean, I think I'm gonna have less and less to say, because now, like, I have the nice tone and stuff, and it's just little refining stuff, like polishing certain parts of my voice that made it sound a bit better. But here you can hear that, like, it's starting to be very consistent with like how I project and distortion on top. And to answer your question about like where I practiced, so in high school, I would get home from school 20 minutes before my parents did, so I would spend those 20 minutes just yelling. And then that would be my practice for the day, right? Nowadays, since I drive, you have a lot more time in the car, and you don't have to worry about other people getting mad at you yelling. Not chest, it's mixed voice. So my chest voice ends at A4. So anything above A4 is mixed. But at this point, you can see that my chest and mix were very, very like merged together. That even at this point, I can't pinpoint to you exactly where my chest ends, but I just know because before that's where it did end. Yeah. Do you purposely choose to do some covers while holding the mic and some covers having that mic on the stand? Well, back here, I was in Scotland when I was recording this stuff, and it was the Owlshed Leviathan Owl who like let me use the studio to record in, and there wasn't a mic stand that like fit my microphone, so I would record while holding it. And then in the videos, I just went a little more ham with it, right? Because I could like hold the mic and move around. Nowadays, I'm at home, and when I moved back, I still had the habit of holding it, but nowadays, like since I record with the stand, I just also film with the stand. Not really a reason why or why not. But yeah, as you can notice, it's like it's very smooth moving from mixed. That note is already chest. So moo to goes from mixed to chest, but it's like a very nice continuum that you can't really tell. All right, here's my João Medeiros cover. Well, cover with João Medeiros. I'm really happy with this one. Like the way I belted high up in the chorus for the high notes is exactly what I was talking about when I was talking about like having it sound fuller, right? Like the side is like very full sounding, and that's just the way I was projecting it that was different. I'm still comfortably like having the distortion be like in my nose slightly, but that's something I changed recently. But you can tell already a difference in like the power in it. That entire line is mixed voice, and it sounds really chesty just because that's how like much I had developed my mixed voice to sound deeper. And like the way that I did that was just that simultaneously with me learning that new technique, I also like finally found a way to merge like the bridge between where my chest voice would voice crack into mixed, and now it's so smooth that like I can't even tell where it ends. So I'm actually able to carry over distortion techniques from my chest voice into that little range like C5. So here you can really tell a difference between like maybe a year ago. Yeah. And then Oh, this gives me whole new hope for reaching those notes and not sounding like an opera singer. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Like, if you look at my progress, you can see how it changed over time to what it is now, right? And I hope that my commentary helps a little bit in understanding how I approach things. That's the idea with this stream. I close my eyes a lot when I sing. I guess it kind of is a reflex. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not used to like yelling and looking, but it might also just be that I'm like imagining the melody in my head. I have no idea. I never really thought about that. I guess it is true that my my eyes are closed a lot. Do songs vocal only, no music. That'd be interesting. I do have some vocal stems on my channel for like certain songs that were uploaded to other channels, particularly Blood Eagle and what's it called? The Contortionist, Early Grave. I have that one in there as well. Okay, defining chest, head, and mix. So chest is like what I'm talking in right now. Head is this, and then mixed voice is a mix of the two, where you can project like very high notes that still sound sort of chesty. And over time, it becomes more chest-like because you find better ways to project it. But it is a sort of like gear shift from chest voice. So, for example, you can be singing a note in chest, and then once you go up into mixed, it's still like using the chest resonance and a little bit now of your like head resonance, but I imagine it like it's a gear shift. It's the best way I can describe it. It's very difficult to explain. I even have trouble describing it to people, and most of the time it's like if someone already understands what mixed voice is, it's much easier to talk to them about it. So this is Let Me Hear. This is my most viewed cover on my channel. It just reached 70K today. Very happy with it, and the high notes are incredibly high. So I'm already like satisfied with how it sounds at this point. All I've done recently, I guess, is focus on little tiny things like enunciation and Japanese pronunciation also, and also just like making the sound a little more chesty. Because I know that the tone I have at like B flat 4, B4 in my mix is really chesty, and I've been pushing that limit a little bit higher. So nowadays my E flat 5 is quite chesty. So like for example, my Stranger Things cover that I did recently with Lauren, that sounds very chesty because that's just what I've been working on recently. I think it's really nice to hear your perspective on all this because I often wondered how this journey has gone for others, as I've also been trying to piece it together myself. Yeah, man, that's the idea, and thanks. I'm happy that you enjoy this. Let Me Hear such a banger. Yeah, it is. Another thing too, the reason why I wanted to cover this song is just like I heard it from the anime and I was like, man, this is an awesome song, but I wish it didn't have any auto tune. So I guess I wanted to be the guy to sing it without auto tune. So like that's an F sharp 5, and it sounds just as dense as like my C sharp 5, and I mean not as dense. Like it sounds a little bit thinner, but like it maintains like a continuum, right? And what I'm doing nowadays is making sure that it sounds just as dense. So that's the thing. That's what I've been working on recently. And then coming up next is my G5, and Here Comes the Winner. This cover, I mean, I've improved since then in terms of my stream quality and like the consistency of like all these lines. These are very difficult lines to sing, so I think I just got better at performing them. Not necessarily that my technique got better, and it's been a year since then, right? So it hasn't been that long, but it's just my delivery is better now, and just the way I project certain things. Like for example, like the well there. It's like, "Sell them well." That note there, you can hear that it's kind of crackly and like it's not as powerful as it could be. Nowadays, when I sing this, I really belt up there, and I would fall on that B4 much more comfortably than here. And that's one thing I noticed when I listened back to it. I'm like, okay, it sounds cool. I'm hitting the note and obliterating it, but like coming down and like just the transition between the different registers, like high, like G5 down to like a B4. At this point, I was like, okay, I want to figure out exactly how to like have it all smooth together a little better and be a little bit more like hitting, I guess. Yeah, so for there, like the Oh, moments together. The oh was sung as if it was like a high mixed note. But it was like, I guess the approach I had was anticipating that note would be coming. But nowadays I kind of flip it where I'm like, okay, I can really project this low A, well, not low, but mid-ranged A4, B4, and I can have the same tone now at an E5. So like, instead of anticipating it, I can like approach it from the same tone, if that makes sense. Seems like your approach to the music is the same for me for art. I sing as a hobby when I'm alone, but I would like to understand more because I really enjoy it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, it's the same thing for art as well. Same thing for like every single field. Like, you do something, look back at it, and see like what you did good, what you did bad, and then try and change it. Right. I appreciate that you enjoy how I'm approaching things, and I'm trying my best to like describe what I did. Covering of machines. Interested in covering of machines sometime in the future. Not familiar with that. Is there a band or singer you really want to cover but don't feel comfortable doing yet? Used to be. Nowadays I kind of like confronted my fears, and I feel like any song I can do if I like approach it correctly. But for sure, something like Deftones, like, it's not that it's difficult, but he's so unique that I feel like I can't do a song by Deftones justice. So it's a little different now. It's not that it's too hard. It's just that like, if it's so unique, I can't really do it justice in my mind. But I do want to cover Deftones eventually. He has a really cool voice. Yeah. I didn't mean to say low A4. No, it's not low. I meant lower than E5, whatever. So yeah, like the G5 projects very nicely and resonates well, but it's very heady, I guess, because it sounds thinner than the lower notes as I do them now. It's like, for example, here, the B4s at the top of this chorus, like, da-da-da-da, those sound like their chest, right? They have the exact same density as my chest voice, but they are not chest, it's mixed, but I smoothed it over nicely. And you'll notice that the B4 here is way more thick than the B4s here. The well versus, like, you can see the difference, right? Because here I'm approaching it from a chest perspective. The other one I'm approaching down from a mixed perspective. So I guess it came to like figuring out exactly how I approach a note in order for me to channel this sort of sound, but all the way up. I'm hoping to reach your level one day. Good job. Thanks, man. I mean, as you can see, I was not at my level before, right? Am I going to cover Bury the Light? Well, I sang it, so I can't cover it, right? Two things. One thing about practicing the car. Aren't you supposed to practice standing for your diaphragm? Will you be keeping this live stream up after? Yes, I will be doing a live stream afterwards. I mean, sorry, what am I saying? I will be uploading this afterwards because it gets automatically uploaded to my channel. And in terms of practicing the car, I record sitting down most of the time, and then like I sing standing up for the video, but like I'm recording here in this seat particularly. I find that if your posture is good and you're up, it doesn't matter if your legs are like touching the ground or you're sitting. It's still the same thing. So I never really believed that sort of thing about standing up for diaphragm, you know. At a certain point, is there a difference anymore between chest and mix? Yeah, good question. At this point now, for me, not really. Like, it's smoothed over so well that like I can shift gears automatically, essentially, and I don't have to think about it. It took how long? I'd say maybe 2019. End of 2019 is when I was comfortable saying specifically that. Started off in 2011, so 8 years before I could say that. So yeah, there, like, I'm no longer trying to imitate Spencer, I guess. That's another thing too. The reason why I covered such a variety of different bands is because I was trying to find my own voice. So here I'm singing Periphery, but it's not like you can't remember it. What was I saying? I read a comment in the middle of what I was saying, so I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I no longer sing like I'm imitating Spencer, I guess. I was trying to find my own voice, and I did. And the way I slide between, so this melody, like it's in F sharp, so the highest note is C sharp 5, and it goes down to F sharp 4. So at A4, the third of that scale is still my chest voice, well, where it would have been. B4 is now my mix. But the smoothing of like all of that is like totally smoothed over. The smoothing of it, the transition of it is smoothed over. That's what I meant to say. And yeah, like I've gotten to the point now where it's like nice and smooth, and I'm happy with how it sounds. But again, that just came from careful paying attention to that sort of thing where, like, as I mentioned before, I noticed that my B4s from when I'm approaching it from head sounded too heady, and that my chest B4s sounded better. So now I'm approaching my higher notes as if they were chest notes. Yeah, I always just sit to sing, he says, as choir teachers everywhere collectively gasp. Yeah, that's yeah, I won't talk to any choir teachers about me sitting and singing. By the way, you look better bald. Thank you. I'd like to think so as well. And one of the reasons why I was scared about shaving my head as my hair was receding was that I was worried that I would have aged like 10 years or something. But I honestly look I kind of look younger than when I did with my like receded hair. And I wore a lot of hats to cover it up. But yeah, I'm happy with how I look now. Are your parents from Russia or Ukraine? No. So I always get this a lot because Viktor sounds a very like Slavic or Russian name. And then Borba is apparently fight, war, battle in Slavic languages. So it sounds like I'm that, but no, it's just Brazilian. So my name is Victor Borba, which is, if you're from Brazil, it's very Portuguese sounding. So you'd understand. But yeah, it is confusing for sure. Thanks for not imitating me anymore. You're welcome.
And I tend to close my eyes when it hurts. Sometimes I fall into your arms. I'll be safe in your sound till I come back around.
Cool thing about this cover is that it was all in one take and like on video. Because usually I record stuff beforehand and then I sing in front of the camera for the video. This time I recorded the whole song in one take and in front of a camera. And I'm happy with how it's turned out. Like the thing about Louis Capaldi is that he, while it's pop, is very like gritty, right? So it was kind of a perfect mix for me to try and like dive into how to sing in that sort of realm. And one thing he does too, he's a tenor. He's like the same depth of voice as me, but he sings like a very like lower tone, like I'm going under. Like he sings like that, right? I'm imitating him, so it's not like accurate, but I tried channeling that a little bit, and even recently I've been starting to like move back into figuring out how to sing deeply and in a mid range. So like, for example, Panic at the Disco, bands like that, like from that era, they had a really like deep sounding like mid range, and I really appreciate that sound. So I've been trying to find something like that. But yeah, the high B flat 4 there in the song, not that high for me, and I could belt it and then make it powerful like I was singing a metal song, and it fits well with the song even though it's really calm. Bald is beautiful. You look awesome, Drew. Thanks. Thanks, Joe, for the support. Skimming through your comment. Nice. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, you could discover me from Buried Delight and then realize that you watched my covers from before. But yeah, awesome. It's nice to see you here. But yeah, moving on. My cover of Before You Go, which is more recent and also in one take, I'm much more happy with than this one. But of course, I was learning how to sing a sort of pop style, and a year later I did it better, in my opinion. And this is the last video I have here before I cut off the video with my Son of Robot cover, which I don't have a video for. But yeah, like that's where it ends for 2019. And my plan now was to go over like some of my recent videos so I can make a few pointers for certain things. But at this point, like I'm refining very particular things that I already touched on. But where was the last cover here from this video? Well, I really did upload a lot since then. Like I've been doing like weekly uploads, right? Yeah, Panic at the Disco. So, okay, actually I'll talk about that now. So what I was talking about for like the tone he has in his mid-range. So I'll take like I Write Sins Not tragedies. Like if I were to sing it now, you could probably tell that it's very similar to how he sounds. So if I go like, I chimed into a haven't you people ever heard of, like that sounds a lot like he does. Like it doesn't sound like Spencer singing it, right? Spencer would be like, I chimed into a haven't you people ever heard of. Like it's very different. I don't know if that was too loud for Mike, but whatever, he'll have to live with that. But I've been trying to have like a Spencer-like tone in my high notes, and then a tone that's more similar to my speaking voice in the middle register. Because like I mentioned before, my voice is deeper than what it sounds like in these because I compensated for having a higher pitch because I was trying to imitate people like Spencer and Chester. But in reality, my voice is deeper than that. So I'm channeling that a little bit more now. And if you look at my more recent covers, even my high notes sound like that, you know? Death of the Bachelor cover would be cool. Yeah. I might do that actually. Because I did sing that live before. Slavic Union. I mean, I'm not going to sing any songs in any Slavic languages. I'll have no idea what to do. And people will be even more confused at where my like ancestry is from. What stops you from being a rock star? I mean, I get this question a decent amount, and it's just, I guess, comfortability. I want a stable job that I can do into my 60s, right? Singing, you can't really do that. And you also, especially in this style of metal, a lot of singers lose their like potential at like 35, 40. I don't want that to happen. So there's a thing I can do on the side, and it's comfortable to do stuff at home, right? Like I'm putting out nice content, singing on cool things. Like Bury the Light was an amazing opportunity, and I wouldn't have gotten that otherwise. So that's an opportunity I've got despite me not being a rock star, you know? Like it's just me doing YouTube videos. So I think it's a really comfortable thing, and I'm doing my studies in a completely unrelated field of chemistry, right? So that's the job I want in the future, and this is just stuff for the side for fun, right? Rise Against would be cool. It's been a while since I listened to them. But yeah, so this was the last video from that era. Then there's this. Into the Unknown. I can comment a little bit on this. Favorite Rise Against song. Yeah. So, what's it called? What's the one called? It's the one from Guitar Hero. I forget the name of it. Don't hold me up now, no. You know that one? I know that one. That's like the only one I know actually. Yeah, I'm happy with this one. And one thing about this is that it was like very theatrical, I guess. And the way I approached the melodies and transitioning between like chest and mixed were pretty cool. And at this point, it's very like intuitive the way I approach melodies. And I guess the reason why I don't have as much to commentate on is at this point it's very subtle, the things I do, right? Prayer of the Refugee, that's what it's called, exactly. Tesseract would be cool. I don't live in Brazil, never lived in Brazil. I like the second verse in this song.
What do you want? 'Cause you've been keeping me awake. Are you here to distract me so I make a big mistake? Or are you someone out there who's a little bit like me? Who knows deep down not where I'm meant to be? Every day's a little harder as I feel your power grow. Don't you know there's a part of me that longs to go?
So yeah, like as you can see, the smoothing between me singing like, what do you want? Like the quieter chest stuff, that's still pretty nicely impactful because I'm enunciating decently. All the way up to like the someone out there. That stuff is like, oh yeah, same sweater. But yeah, the high notes there, very smoothly going into them with the grit. And then in the chorus, I know that Brandon Urie, he does the vibrato on it, and I don't do vibrato on high notes like that. So I just like went for it, like, into the unknown, and it's how it turned out. And the high notes, like they're still very chesty, even that E flat 5, right?
Into the unknown.
And what's cool is the backup is doing a G5.
Into the unknown. Into the unknown.
Yeah, pretty cool. There's one thing I want to comment on as well. So in the second section, when I'm doing like the falsetto part, That is actually mixed voice, but I'm doing it really, really softly, like the I tried recording it in falsetto and I realized, oh, it doesn't sound as good. Let me just do it in mixed voice, but like no distortion, no like projecting at all. And I put a little vibrato because it's fun. And also the backup, like the is actually like super, super distorted, loud, like chesty mixed voice. But I like I edited it so that the reverberation made it sound like it was in the background, so it sounds like a choir. You can kind of hear the distortion on it when I point it out, probably. Just wanted to say I really like your videos. I first saw your cover of Parasite, and I kept walking. Thanks, man. Hugh, I'm not gonna say your name. Hugh Jass is his name. What was the longest break you've taken from singing? There was one point where I took like, it was like, where was the jump? Like August 2015 to July 2016. I took like almost an entire year like focusing on my studies. Like, because there's a lot of stuff to study for, so I didn't really like record very much, but I was still practicing like every once in a while. But like maybe that's why it seems like there was a big jump, but I never really stopped practicing, you know. Began at 15, taking private lessons, joining a choir, stopped for singing 3 years until I got a car. Yeah, that's the thing. You like if you stop for 3 years, it sucks, but then when you get a car, it's nice, you know. Start was more breathy sound to it compared when you got grit is higher. Yeah, so at this point, like I was more cognizant of like the different ways to approach melodies. It's not just about singing, right? The vocal style of Sam Carter. Yeah, me and him do a very similar thing for sure. He approaches the grit a little bit harder, and it's something I've been working on recently in order to have like a sound more similar to his. I just haven't put it in a cover yet, but I'm doing a cover of, well, I'm not gonna spoil which song it is, but Polaris and Infant Animate, and those two songs have very similar kind of vibe to Architects, and you'll see how I go about making a Sam Carter-esque style of vocal, but it's the same technique that I use, just approached slightly differently. So he does a lot more grit onto it and like pronounces things a little bit differently than I normally do. But yeah, it's the same technique. But yeah, that's about it for this song. Let me see what else there is that we can talk about. Then I did this review. So that's an original song that I have not put out in full yet, but I will. Oh yeah, so Linkin Park, One Step Closer. So the thing about this song is that the scream sounds very similar to his, and it's a pretty like easy song for me to sing. It's in a very comfortable range. I sing the way I normally do, and it just happens to sound a lot like what Chester Bennington does. One thing I could say about this cover is that the original is like very clean in the choruses, and I go ham with distortion on it just because I was kind of trying to flex, I guess. But yeah, the technique I use here is very, very distorted. I think this is probably the song I do the most similarly to how I would approach an Architects song. So if you listen to the chorus, which I'll get to eventually after I read these comments. Halloween related music plans. That'd be fun. What if I did like a cover of Thriller or something? Yeah, that'd be funny. GD covers are great considering Chili has such a soft, hazy voice. Yeah, thank you. And also, I find it a really big challenge to sing his sort of things because he like, well, he has the gift of having a very high voice. So having a lower voice like mine, it takes a lot more effort to be able to sing up there, right? Into deathcore, it sounds cool, and I appreciate how low they can go with their screams, and I can't do it, and it's something I'm trying to learn, but it's very difficult. We love you, Victor, not romantically though, because you haven't bought me dinner yet. I mean, thanks. Chris Cornell, yeah, that'd be really cool. I love Soundgarden. Haven't considered a song to do though. Monster Mash, that'd be interesting. Confusing question, but are there specific things that you recommend everyone thinks about or tries to do as they practice, or would you say it's better to not overthink things? It's like, I mean, the way I always approach things was approach the sound, right? So if you have a particular sound you want to go for and you listen to how you sound yourself, if you can pinpoint what you don't like about your own sound and what you like about someone else's sound, listen to them and try imitating exactly what they do to see what you're missing, I guess. That's what I do a lot. And even, I mean, nowadays I don't really like, idolize other singers in that way where I have to try and imitate them, but I still get sort of tips from how other people sing. I think the most recent example is Polaris, where the way he does his screams is very interesting. And when I was in the car like yesterday, I was practicing how to like do it like he does. So like the way he screams is very distorted, but he still has a pitch in there a little bit. And that's what I kind of do, but I was trying to imitate more about like how he does this sort of thing. So even now, me in 2020 October, I still do this sort of thing, right? Ties of the Man, I actually haven't listened to them at all. But yeah, let me just play this chorus here. So yeah, that chorus there, you can tell that it's very, very distorted the whole way through. And I think the only difference between how I would do this versus like a Architect's cover is that in the Architect's cover, I would put a lot more distortion. So I would focus more on the distorted part. So let's just say here I'm distorting like 60%. In Architects, in the chorus, I would do like 80%. Just like as much distortion as possible while you can still hear a note, right? Yeah, so this is a stream that will be public after. Is there somewhere we can find info on vocal lessons, like price ranges? So I've been doing a consistent price lately, but just email me and we can or like message me on Instagram. We can talk about it, because like I'm still debating changing certain things about like the way I do prices and like all that stuff. So just send me an email or a Instagram message and we can figure it out. All right. Yeah, Victor in traffic. That's yeah. I mean, I just yell in the car and I hope no one can hear me. Why don't you have a website yet? Also Twitch when? I mean, I could do Twitch, but I mean, would you guys watch me play video games? I mean, I did that a little bit on my YouTube in the past. I mean, it could be fun. I guess I'll figure something out. That'd be funny. But yeah, let's keep going. There's one part here in the bridge. Let me see if I can find it. It's here, right? Yeah, here it is. So there, I hit a C#5, but it's so distorted that you can hardly hear the note. Like... Yeah, so that's probably how I would do my Architect songs, like in that sort of way. Twitch seems to have an easier interaction with chat. Yeah, I mean, that'd be fun. I was thinking about that. Yeah, I could stream the Barrows event, but though I do want to go on voice call. So I mean, like, this is a friend I play RuneScape with, so that's why I'm talking about it. But like, I don't know if I can stream while doing that. Also, I've been streaming for like 2 hours now, so like I want a little break from being on camera. And you know, it's kind of tiring to keep talking about this stuff over and over for like hours. Do I play piano? Yeah, I always play piano still. Like I improv a bunch of stuff, and like I love to express myself on the piano. And I try like I use Jacob Collier as my idol for piano, and like just the way he like approaches chord building and stuff, and it's very complex. I just haven't done anything for this channel. It could be interesting. I just know that a lot of people are here for singing, so we'll see what I can do with piano. I did have the idea to do a little like improv piano at the end of each one of my covers, which I didn't do the last 2 times, but I definitely will from here on out, because it's always fun to do that. Did I sing for DMC5? Yup. Let's move on to another cover. So Gurenge is a really cool, I pronounced it really weirdly there. Yeah, this is a really fun cover. And the thing about this song was, firstly, there's a lot of fast singing, but it's really cool to like be able to find different ways to belt in this song at different parts. Let's see what else. I mean, like at this point, there's like my voice didn't change very much between these. If there's something that pops out to me that I want to mention, I can, but I'm pretty much out of things to say. Ignorance was fun. Bleed It Out. Okay, actually, this was cool. I was wondering about how I would get that really cool like distortion sound that Chester has in like the bridge for Bleed It Out. And also, I don't rap, but this is fun. The way I approached that was just like, all right, I'm gonna pretend I'm screaming, but I'm just gonna be talking instead. So I just like kept that bap 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 bap, you know. I sound so much like Chester in this part. It's not my fault. It's just how we sound, I guess. If you want to stream on Twitch, you could also do party games and chat. Yeah, that'd be fun, man. Like, I might do that now. I'll think about how exactly to set up a Twitch account. You know, combat level, I'm like 115. I just reached 1900 total level actually, very recently. Like that note, I was wondering exactly how I'm supposed to pull that off, and I realized that if I just like sing slightly quieter, like not a full belt, I go make you face it, and that like whole line I can sing a little bit quieter, which is the same technique I showed before in the stream about like how I sang Given Up. That produces a really, really cool tone that you can sustain for a long time. And I thought that it would require me singing super loud in order to get it, but in reality, singing a little bit quieter actually did that. So yeah, I'm kind of like flexing a little bit for the camera to like make it seem like it's huge and loud, but like it's pretty quiet in reality. Well, not pretty quiet, but a little bit quieter. Yeah, I saw people suggesting Popular Monster. I didn't really give that song a good listen. I know it's really popular right now. What else is there to say? I could talk about Prisoner, because the thing about Tillian is that he like soars up to these high notes, and it's like really soft. But in order for me to keep the power, I kind of did it my own way, and I soar up to like really gritty notes. And the way he has delay in the chorus, like ping ponging left and right a bunch, is really interesting. So I was able to do that. Yeah, so that note's really fun. Man, I just love this chorus. It's so cool. But yeah, like I was worried. When I was recording this, I was like, oh, how am I gonna like approach this note and have it huge? And like, it just, I tried it and I belted it like I thought I should, and it worked out. Prisoner had some lower notes that you seem to hold really well during the chorus. Yeah, so like well, not there, but like when it goes down in the first part of it, yeah. My focus also was just making sure that the tone was very similar between all the different registers, because like the highest note is in the chorus is a D5, and the lowest one is an E4, so it's a big difference. Specifically, feel you breathing. We feel you breathing. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so yeah, that's the thing. Like I wanted to, in the original, he like calms down a little bit and goes, he like breathe, like it's a breathy sound for those ones, and I just wanted to make sure that the tone would flow nicely. But yeah, thanks. Do you have a more consistent technique nowadays, or do you still have off days? I still have off days, less so nowadays though. It just comes with being more comfortable, I guess. Is that echo effect or two voices? So actually what I did is I recorded it once, and then I copy pasted it for different sections. So like it's an echo completely, but I did it manually. Like I did one right ear and then the other one left ear. Fire Force Mayday, that was really fun. Same sort of techniques I do normally, but what I was doing a little bit in the verses was a breathy distortion kind of sound. So like I was singing like, well, I'll show you. So like I noticed this from like listening to Dance Gavin Dance. A lot of his like gritty sound actually is just him like being breathy. So I was trying to imitate that a little bit. And then when it comes to the chorus, same sort of technique as before for like having like the high notes be gritty and having it all consistent. Yeah. Not much to say there other than stuff I already said, but like it moves over pretty nicely. Lil V Mills, yeah, I did see his cover, and it's very interesting to see people cover me. Yeah, that is like, man, I can't really describe the feeling, man. It's like it's still so surreal to me that like this is all happening, and I'm just here like appreciating it all, you know. Just trying to see here. Okay, so the Coheed and Cambria cover was something I tried doing like quasi live, and here, I mean, I was using the same sort of techniques. I can't really talk much about it. Deception was where I was flexing my high notes. For Bullet for My Valentine, that was special because I was trying to go for like a really gritty, like thrash metal type of sound. And one thing too is just making sure that the power is still there, even though it's not that high for me anymore. Trust Fall was super fun. I was just waiting to do this cover, and then Sean messaged me. And the acapella version at the end of this is really fun. I mean, I want to play it just because it's fun. But I also did pull up Veil of Maya just because the chorus is really fun here. I thought I did it really nicely. So just a very consistent tone that I'm happy about. I wanted to play just the what's it called? The outro a cappella, just so I can talk about that a little bit. Yeah, so that was really fun, and like that's the song that I discovered Spirit Box from. That's just like such a serene sound, right? And one thing I was focusing on around this point was how to make sure that I have a powerful mixed voice while not relying on distortion. Because I was finding a lot of the times I was just like defaulting to having a powerful distortion, and then not really worrying about like the power that would come behind a mixed voice note. But you'll notice here like the high notes, like if you can see me there, is like clean completely, right? So something I've been focusing on recently, and it shows up a little more in previous covers. Jetpacks was cool. Before you go, I want to talk about this one. My Curse was also fun too because I really went into my like natural voice with just like the choruses being full but not that high, and I was finally able to use my real voice, I guess, because the singer from Killswitch Engage has a deep voice. Not that my voice is deep, it's just that it's deeper than like how I would approach songs before, you know. Yeah, so I did cover Almost Easy on not on my channel, it was on Martin's channel. Yeah, what was I pulling up now? So Outsider, talk about this one already. Okay. Before you go, so one thing that I wanted to take on myself for a challenge was to really channel like a lower, deeper sound that I didn't really do beforehand. So if you hear here,
I fell by the wayside like everyone else. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, but I was just kidding myself. Or every moment I stole to replace, cause now that they're gone all I hear were the words that I needed to say.
yeah, so the sound here is like smooth and deep, you know, like
You hurt under the surface, like troubled water running cold.
and then going into the chorus, I go into my more metal sound.
So, before you go, was there something I could have said to make your heart beat better? If only I'd have known you had a storm to weather. So, before you go, was there something I could have said to make it all stop hurting? It kills me how your mind can make you feel so worthless. So, before you go.
Yeah, smooth like velvet. Yeah, honestly, like this kind of like voice that I tapped into here, it's like, I mean, it's my natural voice, I guess. Like people from before would say like, oh, like yeah, Victor's cool. He has a cool Spencer impression, like Spencer Sotelo. But then if you hear this sounds nothing like Spencer Sotelo. It sounds like Victor, right? But yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. Didn't hear that one. My girlfriend would love it. Haha. Yeah, I mean, it's here. Lewis Capaldi, Before You Go. It's on my channel. Slaughter to Prevail. No, there's no way. I can't do anything like that. Those soft lows sound so relaxed, but almost like your voice is about to crack, but it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it's my comfortable range, I guess. And then the way, because it's funny, because like, oh, the way, I mean, my neck is more forward because I'm sitting down and leaning into my mic. That's the reason why. It's not because I'm like trying to sing in that sort of way. It's because I was literally just like posing like this for the camera. That's all. Maybe, well, on the lower notes, I was like that. Okay, maybe like subconsciously I did something like that. But I mean, I feel like I did the same thing in Breaking the Habit. Though in this cover, while it was like the same era, I did sing a little more like softer to match like a tone that Chester would have, right?
Memories consume like opening the wound. I'm picking me apart again. You all assume I'm safer in your room.
So it's just a different voice, I guess, because like I could sing like a little deeper for this part, but I just wouldn't match the song right. But if I sing a little more breathy like this, then it works for the song, right? What I found fun was this part. So that's just like if you go back 8 years, the first time I was doing distortion techniques for like that A4 region, and compared to how it sounds now, it's just so much more refined nowadays and like consistent. The white noise part of it is very like smooth, right? And it takes a lot of time to develop it that way, right? Any advice for reducing tension and developing a relaxed technique? Just don't force it, and like if you sing a little softer, you might feel less tension, and then just slowly inch it up in volume. You know what I mean? That's how I would approach it. Like maybe not in terms of volume or stuff like that, but like if you have tension at a certain point, step back a little bit and then slowly push yourself into that, like to extend your limit. That's how I would suggest it. Because if you hear this, I don't seem very tense when I'm singing it, even though it's like boom, you know, right? That's how the way I do it now is quite relaxed, even though it sounds really distorted, right? I sound a lot like Chester. Yeah, so I mean, I think in general we have similar voices, especially in the higher range. I do have a slightly deeper voice than him, though. So I want to thanks for indulging us and answering all our questions for like 2.5 hours. It's been great, man. This is a great experience for me. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, and this is just to celebrate 10K subs, which in reality is 11K. But I just thought that it would just be a nice way to go back and just explain and answer several questions that I've had in comments that I can't really answer in text form, right? In terms of volume, you mean breathing out more? I mean, like, let's just say you're trying to belt something and it really, you have a lot of tension because you're trying too hard to hit the note. Just like either try to sing it softer, don't try to belt as much at first, just to make sure that your note is like not as wavering, or try a slightly lower pitch that it's more comfortable for you. And then over days, maybe weeks even, you can slowly push that envelope up until you push up into like higher notes that aren't as like straining for you. Eventually it won't be as strained. Talking about that, actually I want to look at this. So this is an upload I did a month ago from actually 2013, where I it's funny because I mean, like, we didn't really take ourselves seriously, but there's one part in particular where I use some grit that is actually like pretty interesting to see. I'll talk about it after. So I was like 16 or 17 at this point, and you can see how my distortion, like when I went ham on it, was actually already kind of decently powerful. And it's still the same sort of technique I use in that range, right? Like, and then also another thing I want to talk about is the ending scream. It's a C5, but like I didn't really know how to put distortion on a mixed voice note. And this is kind of spur of the moment. I wasn't supposed to hit this note because the melody at the end should be just for a minute more, ending lower. But I went just for a minute more, and I was like, how do I do this in reality? Let's see. Yeah, so I don't actually know what I did there, but it was mixed voice and there's a little bit of distortion on it. Yeah, who knows? It's still funny to look at. In a way, I feel like watching covers, people get a little thrown off by how people act during the recording. It seems like people use a lot of power and projected sound when they don't actually. Yeah, so I mean, the best representation of how I actually sing. So Breaking the Habit, I did live on camera. Before You Go, I did live on camera. Someone You Love, I did live on camera, right? So these covers, you'll see exactly how I look when I sing for real. A lot of times on camera, like I act a little bit more just to show people like, yeah, I'm singing, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, it's like, I find that my face might look a little too boring if I'm singing a part for real. And it's like, hey, like his face should be looking way more strained on that note. But he's not straining, you know? I'm going to talk about these next two covers. And I think that's it. Because like Mukanjo, I don't have much commentary on it because I just released it. I haven't listened to it over and over. Channel's been popping off since the DMC video. Yeah, so it's that plus the cover I did on Lauren's channel, the Stranger Things cover, which I could pull that up because there's some things I want to talk about that for that. But like those two combined, like one day after the other, that was like really huge for my channel for sure. So I know you sort of settled on the screaming technique that sounds feels best. Do you find significant technical differences in the screams of different artists? You can kind of like once you've experimented with several different kinds of screams, you can start to tell what other people are doing. And I'm noticing a lot that what I do is very similar to what my favorite artists do. So Chester's scream, Spencer's scream, singer from Polaris, a singer from Architects, a singer from like Tesseract, they all do a very similar thing. And while we have different voices, I can tell that the technique is very similar to what I do. And yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Like, I can hear other, like, deathcore screamers who do, like, false chord. Like, I can't do it, but I'm trying to learn. Like, you start with the ooh, and then, like, you can project that. I can't do that, but that's a very different sound that other people do. Same question. Will you save the stream? Yeah. So, like, the same way that I used to do, like, my RuneScape streams here, once I end the stream, it's up as an upload. and I'll keep it public. Favorite cover I've done. I mean, I can go back and be proud of a few of them. Like I can point out several, but my favorite performance is always my most recent one. So Mukanjo, I think I sing the best in. Given Up is awesome. I love how it turned out. I love Before You Go in particular. I love Trust Fall. Reptiles. Oh, I didn't talk about Reptile. I will mention one thing about Reptile because I mentioned it beforehand, just in terms of like how I was a little more too like reliant on the nasal part for the notes, and I'll talk about that. You should actually try to make a "This is how screaming is in reality," no acting. Oh, just like me on camera being like, "Ah!" and like my face not moving at all. That'd be funny. Do I listen to instrumental music? Yeah, I love Polyphia, Covet, and Sean. Those are all really awesome bands that I listen to like in the background while I do things. Okay, so I opened up some vids. Let's go one by them. My curse. Okay, so my curse, I think the interesting thing was that like I was using my real depth voice. So if you listen to the chorus, I didn't actually I didn't put any grit on the chorus, but it still sounds powerful just because I'm like channeling my full like, oh, like I don't know how to describe it, just like my full voice. So yeah, not very Spencer-like, but it's Victor-like. Yeah, so that sounds more like me now. And I can pull that into like the higher range notes, just like that same sort of like tone, right? So in the end here, I hit a B flat 4. Next one. That high love, same density, right? What is my range? So my low notes kind of like alter slightly, like depending on the technique I use, but my highest note is A flat 5. So I can go pretty low in the fry mix. In my normal chest low, let's see, I can go like F sharp 2. I can go lower sometimes. I guess not right now. Like I've been down to D2 in chest. But if I use a fry mix, I can go down to like C2. I also didn't really warm up at all, so my low notes are not like powerful. I guess when I was talking about warming up, in this case, for warming up my low notes, and it's not my forte, I do have to like kind of like push my register a little bit lower, just like pushing my limits, and eventually it gets lower and lower. Because when I talk normally, I rely on like a fry mix to go low, so my chest is not like developed down there. Deftones, yeah, I have a Deftones cover coming up that I want to do soon. I love Deftones, and the thing is that they're like the singer's so unique that this particular song I chose, I think I can do nicely. This tone sounds more like the Lewis Capaldi covers, yeah, and that's the thing. It's my real voice. Oh, sorry. Did I say A sharp 5? I meant A flat 5. How did you learn to go higher than F5? Right when I discovered what mixed voice was, I pushed it as far as I could, and my maximum when I was like 16 was A flat 5. I can't really go any higher than that. It's just the limit was set, I guess, after puberty for me, and I just developed my voice so that it was powerful enough. How do you feel about singing songs originally sang by women like Blessed Be? The melody, Blessed Be is so cool. I love that song so much. And I just approached it as if I was singing the melody. I didn't really pay attention to how she sung it in the original. I just went for it as written, like as the melody is written. And I thought it came out really cool because it kind of sounds like a different song. And I guess that's because I took a slightly different approach, which was not imitating the original singer. I just like remembered how it went in my head and just went for it, right? Diamond Eyes. Who's Diamond Eyes by? Is that Deftones? See, I'm not too familiar with like that much of their songs. Like, I just, whatever. I want to talk about Giving Up because that scream, right? So nice, consistent, clean. Not clean, but like the white noise is smooth, Yeah. Yeah, I can pull up Gurenge. We can talk about it. Gurenge. See, like, I don't even speak Japanese. I don't know how I'm actually supposed to pronounce the words if they're not in the song. Like, I suck at Japanese. I'll note again that these screams are actually quite quiet, and they use hardly any air, which allows you to push for a long time. Yeah, so I think I demonstrated before exactly how it goes, and I was worried about how to pull off this sound. But it's literally just like if you do a quiet scream and use not that much air, you can hold it for a long time. Like, I haven't drunk water in a while, so my voice is probably dry. But if I do like a "Put me out of my misery." That was around 17 seconds, and then like it uses a little bit of air, so it's like going it's not that bad. Is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, using the capo here is a little. He's probably had like drop C sharp and then moved it up to drop D. The last thing I want to touch on, and then I guess I'll pull up Gurenge so I can say a little bit, but then I'm gonna call the stream after that probably. Let me pull up Gurenge first. Yeah. No, neighbors can't hear me, don't worry. Well, I hope they can't. Which part? This song is so long. How do I demonstrate? Like, okay. It sounds really good. The one critique I had when I hear this song back and I think about it is just that like the notes here were a little too comfortable, and I didn't belt them as hard as I could. I kind of held it back in like not my nose, but like up in the soft palate. I held it back slightly just to be able to do the full song in 2.5 hours. So my idea when I recorded this was, let me just go through the whole song, record it all pretty quickly, and then re-record parts. And then I listened back and I was like, oh, this is all very good. And I didn't feel like redoing any parts. But like, okay, I think this part's a good example to say. So like, this way, like that note, if I were to sing it now, would be way more like bulky, I guess. And here it's a little bit restrained. Yeah, so like, it sounds great. I just held back slightly. And if I could go back, I would spend more time doing this cover to like really belt every single part, I'll check out Red. You guys are suggesting that band. I haven't heard them before. Yeah, so I mean, I can't talk too much about DMC5 stuff, but you can imagine that if Casey was writing the song and he wanted to find a singer, I have a YouTube channel with covers on it, so he could go around finding one and then find me. Yeah. Yeah, this song has so much to talk about, so I'm not gonna cover any more of it. But like, that's the idea. Is like, I'm really happy with his performance. Just very slight tweak to how I would actually perform it. You know, at this point, I guess that's how it is. Like, I'm not changing techniques as much as I am just changing the way I like approach performance of the different melodies. Right. At this point, it's like very like fine tuning, I guess. Did I open up Gurenge? Gurenge. Where is it? Did I not? Oh, here it is. What do I have to say about this song? I guess I can say, because I remember we were talking about off days. When I was recording this song, I had an off day, if you can imagine it. So my mixed voice was just not there. So the parts where it goes higher than B4, B4 or higher, I left for another day to record. But for some reason, while my high notes were not there, my chest notes were very, very powerful on this day. So I recorded all the parts of this song that were like the verses and all that stuff on this day, and then I left the high notes for like the next day, and it sounded nice altogether. I do find that the high like Susume, I could have projected a bit better. Like if I were to redo it today, it would sound a little better. But like it's still good. Yeah, another thing too is I changed the little melody here. Like the original goes Danashita, but I did like a little dee 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 because I wanted to be cool, I guess. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about the song. Like, the performance was pretty good the whole way through, and getting all these lines in Japanese was so difficult. Like, it took me a long time, and I actually made a mistake. I'll point it out. Second chorus. Right here, I'm pretty sure the lyric is honiko, but I said hokuni. So yeah, so I mixed up the syllables. That's the only thing, and I listened back and I'm like, but it's fine. Like, you can't blame me. I don't know what I'm singing in these songs, right? Did I ever try flageolet or whistle? Nope, I have no idea how to. I've heard people talk about it. That you just close your vocal cords and then like you make a whistle sound come out of it, and I just like, yeah, gurenge. I found just because like my friends told me that I should cover it, but then I was like, oh, Demon Slayer is apparently a really, really good anime, and I watched it, and it's really good. I watched the whole thing. Really good anime, for sure. But at this point, it's almost 5, and I guess I'll just keep it open for like Q&A until 5 o'clock, and then I'll call it because it's been 3 hours, right? But yeah, thanks so much for everyone coming out. Check out my newest cover, Mukanjo. Really fun. It's hard to think that Gurenge was an off day because I think your cover is better than the original. Wow. All right. Don't say that. That's sacrilegious. But thank you. Well, it was an off day in that like my high mixed notes I couldn't do, so I left that for another day to record. But my chest voice was very powerful that day. Not that the entire thing was off. It's just that I couldn't project in that higher range. Maybe because I was a little dehydrated. A lot of reasons. Wake up on the wrong side of the bed, you know. But I still managed to figure stuff out, you know. Yeah, go listen to this song, guys. Just uploaded today. A lot of views already. And yes, I like my own video. But yeah, I'll give it a couple more minutes and then I'll answer some questions, I guess.
Just sink or swim, 生き残るためにたぎった声だと言い聞かせる What went wrong?
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do this. Thanks everyone for showing up. And if you have any other questions, just like comment on the video once it goes live, and I'll answer them. And I'm gonna put the little screen on Streamlabs that says like ending stream now. And I'll just play this song and close the stream. I guess how I'll do it. Yeah, Popular Monster. I'm gonna go listen to that song a little more and like see if I want to cover it. But yeah, Twitch would be fun. And thanks for skipping dinner. I did skip lunch to do this, so yeah. Hey, what's up, Gerard? Well, you came right at the end of the stream, but I'll explain what I was doing. I went over my entire like YouTube catalog, explaining what I did with my voice differently and like what mistakes I found and that I changed in order to improve to where I am now. This video is going to be uploaded soon after I close the stream, because it's being saved to YouTube, right? So it'll be saved as a stream. But yeah, who would you recommend to someone who what course would you recommend? Not really a course, but check Chris Lipe's video on Screams. He does a good job explaining it. And I just watched several different perspectives from different people about singing and screaming in order to get a general idea. But a lot of screaming, like a lot of in general with singing, is just you gotta learn a lot of stuff from yourself, right? Through experimentation or finding what like works in your voice. Because someone can explain something, like explain how they find their scream. Like I can say like, oh, mine vibrates in here when I push through my nose. But to someone who hasn't felt that before themselves, it makes no sense. It's really something you have to figure out on your own. Like the technique I used for my scream was something I discovered by accident, which I talk about like around halfway through this stream, which you can watch back. The point where I get the prayer position in my catalog. I talk about exactly how I found it, but it's just like you have to really experiment and figure stuff out for yourself. That's the best advice I can give. So yeah, thanks for everybody saying cheers and good night. Yeah, this is really fun. Not as tiring as I thought it'd be, but it's been 3 hours and I ran out of water and my voice is starting to get dry, which is why I couldn't like do falsetto low, and I can't sing that low right now, other than Fry Mix. But yeah, I do need to watch Vinland Saga in terms of the anime itself. But yeah, on that note, I think I'm gonna click the ending soon part of the stream, play the song, and then dip. Yes, I did see Little V's cover, and it's really cool. It feels so weird to have someone cover a song of mine. Yeah, peace, guys. I guess this is where it ends.
Just sink or swim, 生き残るためにたぎった声だと言い聞かせる What went wrong? Survival of the fittest, track of me, cook, shock. It's the world that a wisdom will lead. Will tell me what went wrong. I've paid my dues, I've sold my soul. So tell me what is left for me when I've given up everything. We sold our souls, so tell me what is left for us when we've given up everything.